Welcome to a very special episode of Comic Book Strategic Investment. I'm your CBSI Weekend Update correspondent, Nico, and I'm joined here live with my friend, Mike Morello. Mike,
how's it going?
Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure to be here with you. I have a ton of questions. We've been talking for a few minutes before we went live, and I had to bite my tongue so that I didn't ask you, the things that I wanted to ask about. You seem to be moving and shaking all over the place these days. I've enjoyed Cover Tunes since I got back into comics. It's a weekly article that I was able to kind of figure out existed early and enjoy the benefit of that. Most recently, you've been doing 3-Card Monty here on the Flipside YouTube channel. And as you're well aware, when you talk about Star Wars, I just get out my paper and pen. I've also seen that you're doing work with Toy Informer. And I want to talk a little bit about all of these things. But before we delve into that, if you could kind of tell me how you got into comics, when you started collecting, give me some background.
Yeah, sure. A lot of it had to do with my brother, actually. I was always buying random comics off spinner racks when I was a little kid. But later on, my brother started to read a lot of the Vertigo stuff, which at the time wasn't Vertigo yet, but it would be. So Swamp Thing and Sandman and Hellblazer and those kinds of books. And me thinking my bigger brother, who's 6 years older than me, was the coolest thing in the world, I had to do what he was doing. And these comics seemed really cultured and complicated and literary. And I really got into comics for real that way. Of course, I was always collecting Star Wars comics, but really those were the ones that started me off. And then I wouldn't say I was a collector at that time until probably about 15 or so years ago. When I moved into New York City, I got the bug to do some collecting and really just collect runs of stuff that I wanted to read. And then when I moved to Tennessee, I live in Nashville now. The shops here are great. And I met a couple of great guys and got into the community here and really started to collect hardcore. So that was about 8 years ago. And so my real collecting started then, trying to get big keys and trading up and sort of, I'm not really a seller. I only really sell so that I can get either a better copy or that I can sort of get a key that I've had my eye on. I'll trade 5, 6, 7 books for something bigger. But I mean, I focus mostly around, I love sword and sorcery stuff. So Conan and Red Sonja and that kind of thing. Obviously Star Wars, I think you can tell by all the crap that's behind me, that Star Wars is big for me. And then that Vertigo stuff is still pretty important to me as well. And I love sexy girl covers. Who doesn't love sexy girl covers? And a smattering of other sort of guilty pleasures like Peanuts and silly stuff like that.
Nice. Let me, because there's so many different things you talked about. Tell me about this Mike Morello.
Oh my God, that guy.
Was he reading comics?
That guy was reading comics, but he wasn't really collecting them yet. That was back when I lived in Connecticut. That's where I'm originally from. And that guy is the musician version of me. I had about a 10-year career in music, 2 records. I highly encourage everyone to not buy the one you just put up, but buy the next one. If you want to listen, I'm on Spotify if anyone cares. Oh my God. Where are you getting these from? That's actually, I think, my CBSI, like who's who, page picture. Obviously I'm a Breakfast Club fan. I didn't even know you were going to have that, but yeah, I did music for a while. I played guitar since I was 12. I've put out a couple of records. If anyone cares, you can check those out on Spotify. They're pretty much blues, singer-songwritery,
Nice.
Kind of pop stuff, guitar heavy, guitar focused. And I still play, but I haven't recorded anything in a while. But yeah, that's that guy. He was not collecting comics yet, but he was just reading.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And the collector that you are today, you shared with me, I believe, on another live podcast, and I hate to ask you to repeat the story, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
About how you obtained your Hulk 181 9.0. Can you kind of talk about that move?
Yeah. So I had here. The funny thing is, when I was back in Connecticut, when I was buying all those Vertigo comics, I asked a guy at a place called Cave Comics. I think he's still there in Newtown, Connecticut. And I was probably, I don't know, 15, 16 years old, something like that, maybe even younger. And I said, okay, I might want to get into collecting comics. What should I buy? And his answer way back then was buy Hulk 181 and Giant Size X-Men 1. And I ignored him like most people did way back then. And I didn't buy him. And of course, kicked myself ever since. I'm a huge Wolverine fan. And I wanted a 181, a complete one, and I didn't really care. So a local shop got a real beater, like a 1/8, maybe even worse than that. And I bought it, believe it or not, after my discount plus tax, it was $181. I'll never forget. But then the big thing I think in comics, if you're a collector or a reader, is developing the relationships with your local comic shops. Do them solids, trade your books to them, buy stuff from them, have a pull box, all those kinds of things. And I developed some really decent relationships with some of our local guys, and a local shop got a beautiful copy of Hulk 181. And I had been sort of hoarding keys, sort of duplicates for a while. And I traded up 5 books, including my beater, Hulk 181, a Green Lantern 76, a Marvel Spotlight 5, a Avenging Spider-Man 9, which was a bigger book then, and a Marvel Superheroes 13 together to get a beautiful 9.0 Hulk 181, which is one of my pride and joys right now. So very, very excited to own that little puppy. I need to get it slabbed. I've been getting a lot of flack from people telling me, why is that not in the slab? How could you not slab a beautiful book like that? But I will. I'll get to it, but not until I can hand it over in person.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking to send really expensive books through the mail. I mean, you send them registered mail. They don't post them online. You don't want to look like a rookie and call and be like, hi, did you get my package? Right. And then if you're me, you're like, hi, did you get my package? And you just do it anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a nerve-wracking thing. I'm
going to be that guy at Baltimore that hands the book over in person and just sits there and waits for 5 hours until they slap it. I'll be that idiot.
5-hour turnaround, not all bad. Are you going to Baltimore this year?
I'd love to go to
2021, I should say.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Baltimore and Heroes Con. Those are my favorite too. I think those are the best 2 shows at the moment. The other big shows have gotten too big, like San Diego. They're expensive. They're busy. I don't know how that's going to roll out now after COVID. They may not be as busy. They may have shifts of people going in and out. I don't really know how these places are going to deal with that stuff. But I really like those. I like Baltimore and Heroes because I feel like they're more collector centric. They're more artist centric. It was a lot more of a fun time. And for me, because I do interviews with artists and creators, Heroes Con, there's no better place to get, a couple of creators to sit down with you and chat. And I love that's my favorite part of this whole hobby, is meeting the creators and original art and all that kind of stuff. That's really what I love now.
Now, you've done some incredible interviews. Obviously, the Cates interview is kind of a timeless interview for a guy like me. I mean, it was right after his run on the Thanos run where he introduced Cosmic Ghost Rider. Really became the premier writer at Marvel following that book, and you were able to sit down with him. Then you had another interview that I think is arguably equally as important when you sat down with Jenny Frison. At the time, I don't want to call her a B-list artist because I love her work as much as you do. I think she's incredibly talented, and after watching your interview, I think she's just incredibly kind. But at the time, she wasn't receiving the notoriety that she enjoys today, not from collectors. And since the time of that interview, her rise has just been
meteoric. Yeah, absolutely. It has.
Talk to me a little bit about how those 2 interviews sort of developed and how you were able to kind of broker those deals and what those experiences were like, if you would.
Absolutely, because I think those are. I mean, I love all the interviews that I do, just because I what's great about it is no one tells me you have to interview this guy today. I just walk into a room, and I usually only go to a con unless I'm interested in a specific artist that's there that I want to speak to. And Jenny was my first interview ever. I knew she was going to be at Memphis. I figured Memphis would be a small show. I thought, as you just said, that she was better than her notoriety would tell us that she was. At the time, I wouldn't say she was a nobody, but they didn't even have her in the main artist alley there. They had her in with the locals, which I was really surprised at. She was already bigger than that. I was really surprised that she was in that row. But at the same time, she wasn't in with, the bigger artists at the place. So I figured I could sit down and chat with her, and she was incredibly kind. She was incredibly gracious with her time. We talked about all kinds of things. We just let it sort of go as this very organic conversation that I happened to record. It was one of those sort of things. And, I was very interested in her career. I think that showed she was happy to see someone that was that interested and not stalkery. She's a very cute girl, and there's no doubt about that.
Like, hi, I'm married. I like what you some
exactly.
Will you love me?
Exactly. And I think
I imagine she's probably going to get a lot of. We got some strange personalities at those cons, dude.
Yeah,
some strange smells sometimes.
Yeah. That's an understatement. And I think my approach was, I wasn't fanboy. I didn't ask her to sign anything. Which, by the way, she signs everything, which is amazing. And she does it for free, which is
one of the reasons why I really have the utmost respect for her. I think that's class
and
move.
And the big thing about, I think a lot of people give her grief about the fact that she doesn't do commissions at cons. And her answer that day was, I don't do them. I used to do them. And it took away too much time meeting fans who wanted to talk about art and talk about the books that I worked on. And here I was drawing and not paying attention to fans. And I don't like that. So she said, I wanted to devote my time to meeting people, chatting about comics, and not worried about, making an extra buck doing a commission. And I think that's really great. Again, like I said, I went to that show just to meet her specifically, just to talk to her about her art and how much I liked it, and just to chat about her process and that kind of thing. I'm huge into the process of the art and the different ways that people do it, how they inspire themselves, how they really sit down and do the stuff they do. And she was the best launch pad for my interviewing career, because she was so easy to talk to.
Nice.
And so I've interviewed her a second time. And I don't know that we've become friendly, but I mean, she recognizes me when I walk up. We usually do a catch up. Sometimes I record it, sometimes I don't. It's just one of those things sort of yearly where I like to catch up with her and see, what she's up to. And she doesn't spill the beans on too much future stuff. She's really tight-lipped about future projects. But I always try to wrestle something out of her every time if I can. But she's very good. She's very good. She's very smart. She's very brilliant. She knows what my tactics are, and she's usually ready with her defenses up. But either way, she's great. And I encourage anyone who goes to a con where she is to go and say hi. She's incredibly kind and generous with her time, and obviously a fantastic artist that is finally getting the notoriety she deserves.
Yeah. Kate's, so what was Kate's like? Yeah.
Kate's was like, I think it's Ben C of CBSI, who I want to talk about in just a second. But Ben C has a saying that is bro versus sir. You have those sort of like different kinds of interactions with people where you feel like, you have to be really strict and yes, sir. Okay, sir. And really polite. There's those. And then there's the kind like Donnie Cates, where I got to sit down and it was very much a bro conversation where we really just had time to just sit and chill and just discuss stuff. It was a really, really small show that I was surprised he was even attending. And the weather was horrible and nobody came. It was one of these shows where a bunch of dealers dropped out at the last minute. Artists dropped out at the last minute, but he decided to come. So literally it was me and his...
What a stud.
Yeah. And he still came and he still did, he still signed everything and he had his exclusives and he didn't budge. He was there the whole day. And I said, all right, I really want to talk to this guy. He is, blossoming into the guy at the moment. He had just started Venom, and that's really what I wanted to talk to him about mostly, although we delved into a lot of stuff. And he ended up really opening up and telling me a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting him to say. That interview was quite a bit longer than what people see. We talked for over 2 hours that day.
Wow.
And chopped out a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, the Jenny Frisson one was also quite a bit longer than what you see. Most of the ones I do, I don't cut them. But these I had to. They were just both too long because they were both just really organic, natural conversations, as if I'd known these people forever. And Kate's was just as great as Jenny. He was just as gracious with his time, just as open about information, and really, really cool to talk to. Yeah, I mean, I would love. I went to go try to interview him again in Knoxville, but at that point he was now so damn popular. His line was wrapped around his table 3 times. Wow. So I wasn't getting at him that day. But it was great to be able to talk to him sort of early on in that popularity of his.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like 0% pretentious,
100%
a comic fan, and he does what I only wish that others who are writing and drawing comics did, which is he politics. I mean, it's a guy who's good at self-promotion.
Yeah, he is.
He knows how to work a comic market and build excitement. I would never obviously encourage people to run and pay like $60 for a Wraith 1 because he tweeted about it. But that he's out there, fanning the flames of excitement about the hobby that we love and getting people excited about books and back issues and storylines and characters.
And those things with him are no bullshit though. I mean, he legitimately likes those books. I asked him that very question. I said, everything you mention goes nuclear. He goes, I don't do that to try to fan the flames of some speculator market. I'm just telling people the books that I love, that inspired me to write. He says, he goes, I feel lucky to be in this business. I feel lucky to be able to write the books I write. And I want people to know what I like and what I'm going to use as inspiration for my stories. I'm not trying to pull a wool over.
The problem, right, is that like there's so little of that.
Yep.
That's what happens. And we saw the same thing with like television and film. For a long time, there was so little of it that when collectors just got a morsel, they dove on it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They still do.
Now but I mean, I think that a lot of it's calmed down, thank God. To some extent, there's still a lot of it to some extent, but it's certainly calmed down from what it once was. And it's simply because we're getting more of it. We're getting more content on TV, more films. And I hope that we can, as we sort of progress as a hobby and modernize as a hobby, or I'm not exactly sure what the proper term is, but develop and grow as a hobby and a collector community, that we'll get to hear more of those voices, who are penning the books that we know and love. And, maybe instead of just hearing about what Donnie Cates thinks is cool, we'll get to hear someday what Alan Moore thinks is super cool, or, you name it.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of stuff that I think just fascinates me.
Oh, me too. And I give Donnie all the credit in the world for really changing a speculator market that was almost based solely on cover art into a speculator market that had something to do with the contents inside the damn cover.
Oh, thank God.
And it was such a breath of fresh air. And he and I chatted about that during that interview as well. That was a really important question for him. And he just said, look, I write me, my character. There's something me in all of my characters. He essentially says writing is my addiction, and I need to write. And in order to write something that's true and meaningful and impactful, it has to feel real to my readers. And the only way that I know how to do that is to insert some of my real personality into that stuff. And I think it shows. And I think that's what puts him above many other authors or many other writers.
Yeah. He's got an authentic voice. I mean, and we can all tell.
Yep.
So there's so much to talk about because legitimately you're like the hardest working man in the comic business. Talk to me about Toy Informer.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is actually a good. I'm gonna segue into that with one other thing, which is me starting to write for CBSI.
Oh,
which maybe you were going to ask me later, but I feel like it's a good sort of progression in that that I was just during the G plus days, I had this idea to write thing that I ended up calling cover tunes, which was, oh my God. Jesus, that's big.
yeah, it is. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to a lot of us.
Clear stuff, and it was because I wanted to write it because the word speculation was becoming a really dirty word, and I knew that there were collectors out there who liked comics because of comics, and they just like to read them and enjoy them. And I said, okay, look, we don't all have to break the bank every damn time we want a really pretty cover. And there's plenty of beautiful covers out there that aren't worth anything, that people have either forgotten about, they ignore because they're not worth anything, or they missed them. They never saw them in the first place. And so I thought, well, let me just do this as a G plus post. And Ben came to me and said, hey, man, people seem to really like what you're doing. Would you like to write for the site? And so he put his faith in someone he didn't know, complete stranger, just because he liked the idea. We chatted for a while. We got along really well. And that is the testament, I think, to all of, and look, this isn't me just trying to, I'm not just trying to bump CBSI. We have people that are watching already like CBSI, but I mean, it's a testament to the way the site runs, that there is that transparency, that there is that, I mean, I'm going to sound like a homer no matter how I say it, but at the same time, the reason why I'm affiliated with the site is because a guy like Ben allows me to write what I feel should get written about. And it isn't speculation driven. It's just appreciation for the art and the creation of the comics. And as that relationship grew, and as I approached closer and closer to 100 issues of Cover Tunes, I was approached again by Ben, who said, look, you've proven yourself to be a trustworthy, hardworking guy for the site, and you clearly, your passions are in the right place. We are going to start a toy related site. And we know you're the Star Wars guy, among other things. Toys actually predated my collections of comics. As a matter of fact, props, which you see around me also, were the things that I got into long before I was into comics. And so it was a natural progression to work on Toy Informer, so that I could honestly just geek out about toys, because it's just as fun for me as comics, especially vintage toys. Mostly what I write on the site, I do sort of two main articles. One is the Catch a Wave of Star Wars vintage, and then the other is a thing called Mike's Closet, which and the reason for that was similar to the reason why I wrote Cover Tunes, which was my money's where my mouth is. I own this shit, like it's in my actual house. I love it for real. I put money down to buy it, and I own it, and it's not going anywhere. And so Mike's Closet was a little thing.
Yeah, there's so many interesting things that you brought up. I mean, just so many, that the last bit I think is really important, that you put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
I'm not an economist, although I've read the book Freakonomics, but you don't need to be a mathematician to figure out that there's not much money to be made pumping like modern books, right?
No.
Like it doesn't even make sense. I mean,
5, 10, 20, $50 at a time. You're not going to retire on it.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
It's a lot of work for very little reward. And
you got to buy what you like.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
Or what you believe in, I should say.
I don't really understand that kind of like notion that that there's somehow some sort of like deliberate effort to prop up certain like $20 books or $50 books.
We're going to fight that fight.
Yeah, but I don't believe anybody who tells me to like spend my money on X, Y, and Z if they're not doing it themselves. I mean, by the very definition, that's a armchair quarterback, right? I mean, I
agree. Yeah, that's true. And I think that's a complicated thing there, right? Because I think that we're all passionate about some aspect of this hobby. It's a real thing for us. And so We're clearly going to buy some of it. And if I tell people, again, this isn't to pat myself on the back, but I've loved the Ahsoka Tano character for years. And honestly, people legitimately laughed at me when I told them they should go buy Ahsoka Tano books. She's annoying. They call her Snips for a reason. She's never going to be anything. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I believe in the character. I've seen the lines around Ashley Eckstein's table at Star Wars Celebration. I think it's going to be a hot character. So I bought Ahsoka Tano's first appearance and original art and action figures and all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
And now it's my one spec win. I have no spec wins except Ahsoka Tano. But it's just like, I believed in the character. I believed in the direction Dave Filoni was going to take her. I liked what I saw. I invested in. It's not because I'm looking to retire. I'm certainly not going to retire on Ahsoka Tano books. So, but I enjoy owning them. I'm happy to have them. I'm happy I got them at a good price. And so it's a combination of both of those things, right? Yeah, I guess in a way I'm pumping it, but I'm not pumping it to dump it. I'm pumping it because I legitimately believe in it. And I think that other people maybe should pay attention to it too. Obviously, that's a bad example because everybody's paying attention to Ahsoka Tano now, but they didn't then. And it's just an example of how weird this hobby gets.
No, I thankfully picked your brain a long time before this stuff took off.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
On a Mel podcast, I think it was something odd late at night, some late night.
It was like 1 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous. And I had you there, and I had my paper and pen ready, and there's video evidence, and I was like, "Tell me what that is again. What do I write down? How do I search for it?"
That was the first time you and I met. Was that night?
Yeah, we had a good time, and what I love about CBSI, and as you're well aware, I am a recent addition to the roster, is that there are. Thank you, sir. There are so many. Just incredible sources within this community about so many different things. If I want to know about whatever, I can go and I can search the site and I can find it. And, it's like, boom.
And those of us that don't know about something, I will tell you, I don't know it, but this is the guy that does. And you should go talk to that person instead, rather than some people who pretend to know everything about everything.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the state of comics, because I really am fascinated with your take on it.
Yeah.
I was out for a long time. I didn't get to enjoy Google Plus like you did. I started collecting again as an adult when The Walking Dead just broke on television. I remember watching an episode and understanding that it was a comic book, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy some comic books. I haven't done that in forever. I like comic books, and we can talk about what I did as a child for ever, but and I was in for a minute, and the CGC boards were hopping. They were a hopping, happening place to be, and I didn't stay like many others. I kind of let my interest and focus slip away. And, I was gone for some amount of time, a year, who knows, 2 years, and Google Plus went bonkers. It went bonkers.
It did. Thousands of people.
Can you talk about that phenomenon for those who aren't familiar with what was going on there?
Yeah, I think it was an explosion in comics that I think was very much parallel to the films that were coming out at the time. I don't think there's any way around the fact that Iron Man and movies that came after it were really propelling the comic market away from just being nerdy into being a lot more mainstream, and that you could still be cool and like Iron Man, or you could still be cool and like the Avengers or whatever, or Walking Dead, or anything that was part of real pop culture. I think that's kind of why Star Wars has always existed in its own little bubble, just because it shaped so many people's pop cultures that nobody really made fun of you if you collected Star Wars stuff. At least not the general smart people in the world anyway. And then I think the same thing kind of happened across comics in general, starting with all those Marvel movies and to a degree the DC movies as well. Bad, good, or indifferent, whatever you think about them, they still were major blockbusters. And I think that then trickling into a lot of the indie stuff at the time, options on early stuff. I'm thinking even things that wouldn't necessarily be considered indie, but things like Preacher and stuff like that, which were smaller books, started to get people to pay attention to a lot of odd places in comics. And as a result, people said, there's something in here for me. I never thought there was. And so I think that explosion is part of what happened. And I think if you got in, I don't know, 2010, 11, 12 in there, you were finding yourself some pretty good deals, because a lot of shops that had survived the fall in the 90s still had a lot of this backstock, and you could really do yourself some solid deals back then. I think now people are well informed because of sites like ours and others, and so it's a little harder to get those kinds of deals now. I think also another big piece of the puzzle is CGC and grading companies in the early 2000s. I think that changed the game a little bit and made people see comics as more of an investment and less of a fun throwaway thing. I think that helped as well. So I think it was a combination of a lot of stuff. Where I see it going from here, I think that people are going to get smarter about what they invest their money in. I think they're going to be a little bit more cautious about the quick spec, sort of the quick flip $10, $15, $20 books, especially as fees go up on eBay and other places. Yeah. I don't think it really does anybody any good to list stuff like that or to deal in that kind of area. And so I think as a result, both buyers and sellers are going to be more selective. I don't think people are going to spend less money, though. I think people like this just as much as ever, if not more than ever. They're just going to be a little bit more selective with how they spend their money.
Interesting. So when exactly did you get back in hot and heavy? If you can ballpark it for me.
Probably right around that time I was mentioning, somewhere around 2012-ish, 2013, but just about 7 or 8 years ago. And most of it had to do with a great shop that opened up in my area that just had a couple of big keys that I'd always wanted when I was a kid. And I set my sights on those keys. And I did my best to gather the funds and the trade bait for those. And that just got the ball rolling. And I thought all I was going to do was I was just going to collect, like I was going to recollect my Star Wars run and make a Daredevil run and maybe do like a Claremont X-Men run. And of course that exploded into thousands of books and lots of movement and books that I never thought I could own. And as a matter of fact, the prop thing was the same way. I remember the day I realized, wait, you can own that? Oh my God, I didn't think that was ownable. So, the comics, it was sort of the same thing. When I saw that you could get some of these big comics, that they were actually, I could hold it and I might actually be able to take it home if I was smart. Then I was bitten by the bug and there was no way around it. No way.
Yeah. So you said that you don't sell a lot of comics?
I don't. No, I usually only sell them to either get a better copy of the same comic or don't get me wrong, I don't not spec. I buy spec stuff. I mean, I've got 10 copies of Kanan #1 waiting for people to give a crap about Sabine Wren, right? But I mean, I've owned half of those since they came out, and I'll sell half of them or more when the time comes so that I could get a 1 in 25 of that same book or some other book in the, that I'm missing. I sell here and there. If I come across something that I just can't leave, I might put it on eBay, but I'm more likely to bring it to one of my local shops. Most of them are pretty good to me. I've developed a relationship with a few of them that allows me to just, say, hey, here's a great book. I know you want it for your wall. Throw me a solid back or we'll trade for something cool. I mean, it's the relationships that I like more. That's why I love interviewing the creators and the artists and stuff. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm not sure how much I really care about a few pieces of paper, some ink, and a couple staples. But I really do love the personalities behind the people that sell and make the comics. I mean, to me, that's way better than any of this other stuff.
Nice.
I also love to read. I'm an English teacher too, so I like the literary side of it.
All right, there we go. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I teach high school English. I teach AP literature and junior English as well as cinema studies. And so I sort of just love pop culture media in general. A sort of pop culture narrative, I guess, is a good way to sort of combine everything together. And comic books, I think, in a large way, is our current modern literature. It's not that dissimilar from pulp novelists in Victorian England, putting out, you know, monthly pamphlet magazines, floppies, just like comic books. And if we start to view film similarly to the way we view literature, comic books have become a huge part of the film industry, and I think they're all interlinked in a very literary way, at least the good ones anyway. I mean, I challenge someone to read Neil Gaiman's Sandman, or to read, you know, Saga of the Swamp Thing, and not tell me that that's not literature. I mean, it's
high literature.
It really is. You know, and I know people want to make fun of that all, you know, but I mean, Dickens was no different. He was considered a pulp novelist. The Sherlock Holmes books by Conan Doyle were all considered pulp, and plenty of others, and now we consider them literature. So laugh at it all you want now, but you know, 100 years time will tell how people view at least the high end of writing in comics.
You know about this thing, right?
Oh man, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, tell people what that is.
Oh well.
Why this is important. Okay, so this is the first appearance of Mouse.
Yeah, and Mouse is, I mean,
read by every high school, college English class.
Yep.
You know, in certain states.
And it's
fine literature.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's an allegorical story about Nazi Germany, essentially, and dystopia, and you're no different than an Ayn Rand novel, really, or 1984 or anything like that. It's akin to Animal Farm in a lot of ways. Notice that everything I'm mentioning is all considered high literature. I don't see Mouse as any different, and I think there are many others. That's one of many, and that's an extremely great example, maybe the best example of people considering graphic novels as literature.
Yeah, it's funny too. So my non-comic friends, they'll be like, "Oh, your graphic novels," or something, like they're fucking comic books.
Yeah,
right. Because they think they're being respectful, and I'm like, we don't have to like dress it up at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I wasn't part. Now I don't know if other people in our community sort of see that the same way as I do. But I sort of get like a kick out of that. Like they're trying to be polite, and I'm like, you don't have to be. They're comic books.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I love comic books. Okay.
At the end of the day, that's the other thing too. Like all the drama that sort of surrounds comics, whether it be new people fighting over news, what's real, what's not real, who said it first, this all this stuff. At the end of the day, can we just enjoy some comic books? Like, is that so hard to do? I don't know why it needs to get all that serious. I think the investment part of it has done that to a degree. It has made it a very competitive thing, and that's the nature of it, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the same time, I just want to enjoy some funny books. You know, it's really not.
Dude, my grandmother used to call comic books funny books. It's like, Grandma,
I love it.
It's a funny book.
Yeah, but it brings it into perspective, right? It just reminds people
Absolutely.
that's really all it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a term again that disturbed me when I was a child. I'm like, they're graphic novels. Now I get a charge out of that, funny books, right? Every time I hear someone say it, I'm like, oh, maybe they had a grandma that said funny books too, or an aunt or whatever. And I kind of like look at people and they're like, well, George, graphic novels it's okay if you enjoy them. I'm like, fuck you and your graphic novel. It's comic books.
Yeah. Hey, kids, comics. I mean, we all bought off the spinner racks. Come on, there. You know, I mean, it's supposed to be fun at the end of the day. If you can add the extra layers on. If one wants to add those extra layers, that's fine. But you don't have to. You can still enjoy.
Certainly not for my benefit. Right?
No, right. And a comment scrolled by. Ben C said the Midsummer Night's Dream and the Tempest episodes. See, there I am. Issues of Sandman obviously were literary based specifically. I mean, Gaiman's a great guy. I've met him. I'd love to interview him, man. He's an odd cat.
I missed him. I missed him. He was in my hometown, speaking at a university. I was in a deposition. And I'm sitting there looking at my watch. I'm trying to think, like, I might fake a heart attack just so I can get out of here. And I'm like, they'll call an ambulance. What can I do? I need to get out of here. But yeah, I love him. And it breaks my heart that people who love comics the way that I do haven't enjoyed those 75 issues. I mean,
it's some of the best writing ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I've
met,
done a bad job of not paying attention to the live chat, and it sounds like people are participating. So I'm
yeah,
glad you're
there's some
doing
good
a good.
stuff over there.
Good.
Neil Gaiman, when I first met Neil, I met him in Michigan, outside of Detroit at the first ever Borders books. He was doing a reading of Stardust and signing books. And, I was way at the end of the line. By the time I got to him, it must have been 2 hours of signing books. And I said, dude, you must be really tired of signing books. You've probably had a really creative idea on your mind all night. Could you please write that creative idea down in my book? And he did. He wrote down a riddle, which actually ended up being Wolves in the Walls, I think, or The Day I Traded My Dad for Two Goldfish, or one of those kids' books that he did. It ended up being really similar in scope to that. And then I did that again when I met him again in New York. And he kind of looked at me weird and didn't say anything, and he did it again. And then a third time I met him, I did it again. He goes, wait a minute, I know you. You always ask me the same thing. Every time you meet me, you ask me to write down something that's been on my mind all night in your book. So I doubt he would remember now. It's been like 10 years since I did it last, but he's a quirky guy, but he's really cool if you ever get to meet him, and really smart, like scary, insanely intelligent.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
but a very cool dude.
Now, talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you see developing in our market over the course of the next decade. You don't necessarily need to talk about books or third-party grading changes, but I know we all sort of like fancy ourselves soothsayers, and
Yeah.
what was Johnny Carson when he put the card up to his head?
The great
kid,
what?
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all
sort of. Someone will say it in the chat. I can't remember.
We all do.
Karnak? The great Karnak?
Yeah,
that's
the great
it. Yeah.
Karnak.
Okay.
Yeah. We're showing our age now.
Yeah. Seriously.
I used to stay up late to watch him when I was a wee little kid. I'd be like, must watch Carson. He's about to retire. Gonna stay up even later for Letterman. I don't care if I sleep through my first period.
He was
class.
still great to watch, even at the end of his career. You're still fun.
Absolutely. But talk to me about that. I mean, where do you see this endeavor going?
I see sort of three different things happening. First, I think OA, that's original art, is going to be a way forward in the investment and enjoyment of comics. I think there's a lot going for it. One, that whole part of comic books is disappearing with the advent of digital media. Whether you're reading your comics online or just the actual printed floppies in your hand, much of that work is done digitally now, and the actual hand-done art is disappearing. There are still some old schoolers who like to do it that way, but that whole part of the media is disappearing, and I think the collecting of original, what I would consider masters of the genre, or any genre. I mean, if you're talking about people like Frazetta or Boris or guys like that, they're masters, Sienkiewicz, people like that. And then even just the masters of our hobby, of this particular craft, owning a piece of OA is just a really cool entrance into sort of the world of the creation of the comic. And I think not only does it give you a connection to the artist, but it also gives you this one-of-a-kind thing that no one else can own. And while that's a little like arrogant in a way, that's also kind of a cool arrogance to be like, haha, I own this. You can't, because there's only one.
So I want to talk about OA for a minute. When I was collecting, almost 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. It's hard to, I do bad with timelines. It was a hell of a lot easier to get your hands on original art. There weren't the third-party brokers. Yeah. I mean, you just pick up the phone. I used to call Rob Gullery's wife, and he would sell me Chew original art, and throw in a T-shirt for me and a Pog, and I'd be the happiest guy in the world.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
a Pog.
Yeah, I could get just whatever I wanted. I mean, it was amazing. And that's changed a lot. I think it necessarily had to. We're just a bigger business than we were even about a decade ago.
There's more awareness, and as a result, that's always going to bolster.
Yeah, and if it's going to increase the bottom line for the artists,
Yeah.
I support it. Right.
I do too. Yeah. And especially, and that's the other thing too, I didn't mention when I said I love to go to cons to meet creators, because I usually have them draw me something if I can afford it. I love that. It's for me. I mean, they're drawing it for me. So while I love original published art, I also love getting commission work done. It's a really great way to walk away with a piece of a real experience, with a person. And actually, I mean, I have some very unlikely stories about those kinds of things that are fun. Just meeting some of the greats, Neil Adams, Bill Sienkiewicz, drawing me stuff. I mean, to be able to say that out loud is really a really awesome thing. And I think that's a great experience for anyone who really likes the artistic side of this thing, whether you're an artist or not. So yeah, OA has definitely changed. It's definitely grown huge in price. It's going to get bigger. What did that Frazetta sell for last year? 5 point something million for the Egyptian queen. I mean, granted, look, that's a masterwork, right? Not all of the stuff's going to go like that, but I mean, that's a great example of the top of the market, but you could still get yourself some pretty decent stuff for $100, published art from some of your favorite books, modern stuff. If you're going to get back into the Neil Adamses and the Wrightsons and the Ramitas and those guys, yeah, you're going to pay. But if you just want to enjoy some of your favorite stuff in its original format, that's the way to go. I mean, some of the stuff in my house that's my favorite stuff is original art stuff. And there's 4 or 5 pieces specifically, but I look at those things. I'm proud to own them. I'm proud that they're mine and that I can enjoy them, in my hand. But that's just, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, tell me more.
Well, my newest piece is one that no one will care about but me, more than likely, because I am a sucker for Red Sonja. I just got my hands on the entire preliminary book, every panel and the cover, the whole thing of Red Sonja 9, done by Frank Thorne. Every page. So that one's awesome. I'm really excited to have that. I love Red Sonja. And
I've got Peter and Ben and
we got Peter,
some of your other friends from the CBSI community here to bombard you all at once. I thought it was only fitting for you to take questions from the panel.
Oh my good Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting here watching. I'm like, I'm still in the back for a little bit, and then you guys have done talking. We'll hop in, but I guess here we are.
What's up, boys?
What's going on, guys?
No, Ben, you're 100% right. It's a chog. It's been too long since I've read those first.
I know.
Issues of Chip.
I'm a pretentious asshole, and I couldn't let it rest.
No, I'm glad somebody corrected me. Christ, it's the last thing. I'm not one of those people who, when I make mistakes, I get mad when people tell me I've made a mistake. I try to learn from my mistakes.
Man, I loved Chew, and I am 2 issues from finishing, and I read it every month that it came out, and then 60, 59, and 60 came out, and they just sat there for some reason.
It's so different than everything else. It's really, really cool book.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
And that's the other great thing too about what we were talking about before, like this stuff being literary. It hits all kinds of genres, though. It could be fantasy, it could just be silly, it could be. I mean, it's everywhere, and I think that's a huge thing. So if you want to get really, I don't know, in depth with stuff, then yeah, read some Neil Gaiman or read Mouse or whatever. But if you want something that's a little bit more fun, there's plenty of that too, and it can be just as literary, so to speak, just as graphic novel-y, if we're throwing air quotes up for this stuff. But I mean, I think, I don't know. I really do think as an English teacher that, 100 years from now, people are going to look back on some of this stuff and go, man, that's some real writing. That's not just some throwaway shit. That's some real stuff.
Absolutely.
That issue 19 of Sandman, I don't remember what I saw it on, but it wouldn't stick out to me. I never read Sandman. That issue won some award that no comics ever won before, and it was the first step in notoriety for Gaiman outside the comic community.
Sandman's the one comic that I have friends who know nothing about comics, have never read a comic, but for some reason they'll be like, oh no, I've read Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Yeah, because it's that crossover one that's respected, that you can get away with reading that, and you're not a comic nerd if you read that. So
I think you're going to see that with Saga.
Yeah, Saga is a great example. I think you're absolutely right. Yep, that's definitely another one like that. And there are others, maybe even Monstrous. I don't know. Monstrous may be a little bit too on the anime-ish kind of side for people to really view it that way. But the writing's incredible.
Oh, the art's beautiful too.
Oh, the art is just every panel's a cover level piece of art. It's amazing. I don't know how long it must take to draw that book. It's insane to me. There's so much work. So much work.
I don't mind the little pauses they have between little runs, like they'll hit like 5 issues, take a break. I don't care. Take a little break. It's good enough.
Yeah, just don't take a Saga break.
Well,
don't take a year and a half Saga break. That's not okay. I guess, do you want me to finish the rest of that question or no? Or we're moving on?
What's the question?
Please. No, please. I definitely do.
Future stuff.
The question is, so where are we going? Let's talk 10 years out. What's this market going to look like?
I am really happy to see Star Wars books finally popping, because Star Wars was never cold. And now to see it popping now with all the interest in Star Wars, I think that 10 years from now, no matter what happens with the rest of comics, people are still going to want Star Wars comics. And I don't think that'll ever die. I think there'll always be some love for that. I think the thing I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping will happen soon, will be a non-monopolistic distribution process for comics.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. And I think maybe this COVID thing may have woken up some people that may have been sleepwalking before, to change the game a little bit somehow, even if it's just publishers just shipping their own books or doing the old subscription versions like they used to do, where you just get it at your house. I don't really know, but then that kind of kills LCSs. So, there's got to be a balance somewhere along the line, but I think those are the things that I see.
I heard a really interesting statistic. I heard a real interesting statistic about DCBS. 70% of the people who buy books from DCBS don't have an LCS, a local comic shop, within 60 miles of them.
Whoa. Okay.
And that's a stat from DCBS that was told to a publisher. And I had to pick my tongue up off the floor when I heard it.
Yeah, that's a crazy number.
That's weird. I order from DCBS, but I still hit up at least 3 LCSs on Wednesdays.
God, if I live 60 miles from my nearest LCS, I'd kill myself.
Yeah,
I couldn't survive.
Have 9 LCS all within 30 minutes.
Yeah,
7 of them I'm welcome at. 2 of them I'm not.
I'm still luckily welcome at all mine, but that might change soon. I don't know.
Thankfully, I'm lucky. I'm welcome at all the ones I go to, though there is one I don't like going to because it's got cats all over the place, and I think I've developed a cat allergy by going into that store.
Oh, man. Yeah,
I don't pick the cat store because I assume that's where the good stuff is.
They have some decent stuff, but it's I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I mean, again, I've been a person that needed, at points in 2013, 2014, I needed to go to an LCS a day. There were points where I could get it down to a couple times a week, and now in my calm, mellow early 40s, I was a once-a-week kind of guy, maybe 2, but it was a regular thing. This past 6 weeks, I don't know how you guys are doing, man. I spent like $2,000 on shitty books online just to fill the fucking.
Ben, did you get my picture today? I mean, I got a mail call. It's all Peanuts books.
Yeah, but that's good stuff.
I know, but still.
There's
no spec in there. I mean, there's not an ounce of spec in that whole pile. It's just it's for me. It's
I bought a lot of Star Wars, Mike. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Getting back to the future, there's no question. Star Wars is it's the size of the MCU, and it's untapped, and it's all sitting there. There's so much low-hanging fruit, and everyone wants to focus on. I mean, you and I have beaten this to death, but
yeah,
I just want to remind everyone we own Star Wars. You can't touch the level of talent between you, Topher. I know Jason wrote some incredible stuff.
And you. Don't forget yourself. You can do it.
I just put stuff out there. I can't. You guys add perspective, and that's what's needed. I'll go
love it.
toe to toe about first appearances all fucking day, but nobody cares at the end. We need to know why.
Well, like I said to Nico, yeah, and like I said to Nico before, it's because I legitimately love it. Like, this isn't me saying you should go buy these books so you can make money, or you should go buy these books because I own 50 copies and I want you to buy 49 of them. No, fuck that. I legitimately love. Come on, I mean, I've got a lightsaber and a rebel tattoo. I mean, this is no joke for me.
Yeah, Mike, we can look just behind you. We can see it.
Yeah, but I mean, this almost every
Mike,
major.
Can you pick up? Are you on a laptop?
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Can you show us some of your stuff?
Ooh, yeah, sure.
I want you to show us some of the stuff that's behind you,
including the helmet that you pretend is for prop use only, that you absolutely wear out to protect from the.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, okay. Let's see. I think I can legally show everything that's in this room.
That makes one of us, Mike.
Yeah. So the helmet that's right behind me, while it looks like a Luke Skywalker helmet, was fitted up with Luke decals after production. It was used in A New Hope at the end scene when they're just plain white helmets. This one got damaged. They sort of decommissioned it, put decals on it, and let actors wear it for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi promotions. So it looks like a Luke, but it is not actually a Luke helmet. It's just a background actor's X-Wing helmet. The jacket that's behind it is the guy that stands behind C-3PO. By the way, everything I'm talking about, the screen used. It's taken me almost my whole lifetime to get like 10 good pieces. That's the guy that stands behind C-3PO during the medal ceremony in Star Wars. That's his jacket and belt. I have a bunch of production art. This is probably the one thing that I probably shouldn't show, but from Celebration this year, can you see that that's a Mandalorian head sketch?
Oh yeah,
by Dave Filoni during the Mandalorian panel at Celebration. Original storyboards and concept art. This is probably the best piece of concept art over here. It's when they thought about making the Snowspeeders hovercraft. It's the blueprints for that.
Wow.
And it's actually, that's the original drawing, not an actual blueprint. That's the pen and ink. Then in these cases here, that's Jyn Erso's blaster and baton. Those are her stunt ones. So that's a holster filler.
Can I interrupt you with a question?
Sure.
When you said English teacher, did you mean drug kingpin?
See, now this,
the money for this shit.
Well, okay, so that's exactly the process I was mentioning before, which is it's a trade up thing, and it's a developing of relationships. I worked for Tom Spina Designs, which was a prop restoration and manufacturing company in New York City. We did some stuff with Lucasfilm. The two masks that are up high, that one and the one on the other side of the room, we made those masks for a Volkswagen commercial and for a Nerdist cantina sort of joke thing for charity. And so I got to develop some relationships with a lot of people in the business who are incredibly kind and generous, as well as forgiving as far as how long it takes to pay for things. And I did a lot of trading up. I had a lot of small props. I traded those into medium props. I traded the medium props for a big prop. I traded a few big props for an even bigger prop until I got some of the things that I wanted. The problem, of course, now with props, though, is that it's same thing like has happened with comics, is that the people are aware of it now. It's become a thing that big investors have gotten into, and it's literally impossible to get into original trilogy props now because these things are worth a freaking fortune. Like that rifle up there is probably the thing worth the most in the room. That is a screen used live fire Endor rifle from Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
And they only made 12 of them, and 6 of those were resin casts. The other 6 were had some sort of a firing mechanism. Those are plugged. That's a real plugged M16 or AR6. I'm not sure which is which. I can never tell the difference.
It's an AR6.
Yeah, I think it's an AR, and it's of course fitted up with a bunch of other pieces to look like a Star Wars gun. But the last one of those, I mean, I didn't pay anywhere near this for it, but the last one of those that sold at auction sold for $67,000.
Whew.
So, so just to give you an idea of how this has exploded. My favorite pieces, though, are the ones in the wall behind me. That is actually behind me. That's an orc mask from Return of the King. This is a chimp facial prosthetic from the original 1968 Planet of the Apes. Probably the most important prop in the room, just because of its age. This is the Duros, one of 3 made for production for A New Hope with the hands. That was never used on screen. This one is just production made, not screen used. But this one is, and not only is it screen used, but it was screen used twice. That is the Tusk Ugnaught from Empire Strikes Back. It was also reused in Return of the Jedi. On the Jabba sail barge and the Jabba's palace scenes. So that's probably my favorite piece in the room, even though it's not worth the most. And then I passed by, I forgot this one over here. This is another favorite of mine. This is Paplu's staff in this case here. And that's
Wow.
That's the screen used one. For those that don't know who Paplu is, he's the one that steals the speeder bike and shows them the back door to the Endor bunker. But I mean, again, though, a lot of this has been timing. It's just I got in at the right time. I met the right people. I made decent relationships with those people, and I was patient and traded up and just did it in a way that made sense to me. Is there any big, huge, I don't have Han Solo's blaster or Luke's lightsaber or anything huge like that. I could never touch those.
It's still awesome.
I made a deliberate decision to take my face off the camera so that I didn't have to pick my tongue up and roll it back into my mouth.
I'm thankful you did it for all of us. And you just let
Light
go off.
That was the most amazing. I love it. I see. Here's the best part about doing these interviews with people is that I get to nib shit, and it's okay. I get to ask them these very personal questions. I get to look at the things that are near and dear to their heart. It is an absolute joy. I'm going to leave you for a moment in the very capable hands of Mr. Peter Renna and our fearless leader, Ben C. I will return, but I know they have 1,000 different things that they wanted to talk to you about. I really appreciate you guys joining us today to celebrate our friend, Mike Morello. You, sir, are a treasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, buddy. Gentlemen, let's start the party. He's gone.
Awesome. I don't know what it was. That Ugnaught looked like he was staring at me when you were showing it. He's looking into my soul right now.
That piece, man, I had my eye on that piece for such a long time. I knew who had it originally. I couldn't wrestle it away from him. He then sold it to the prop store of London. That's probably the foremost prop seller. And I wheeled and dealed till I was in tears to try to get that piece. And then I thought I missed it. They then brought it to Celebration. It didn't sell at Celebration. When it came back, the guy, the manager of the place was like, "We still have it. Let's make a deal." But man, the whole time I was like, "Oh, I'm never going to get this piece." It's the only mask. It was at the time the only mask that was available on the market. Most of the masks are owned by about 10 total collectors. Yeah. So, I mean, this was the only opportunity I thought I was ever going to have to own a mask. And I managed to figure it out. I mean, I'm not even sure I remember how I made the deal, but
doesn't matter. You have it.
Yeah. And I was terrified when it was shipping because I'm like, oh, this thing's really fragile. It's like 30 years old, 35 years old. It's going to break. It's going to rip. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at least I worked for Spina Designs for a while. I could fix it if I had to. I learned all the tricks of the trade, but I didn't want to have to.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Gary, shout out to Gary in the chat.
Yeah, Gary, what's up, man?
I was going to say, I'm sure he's been here longer than I have. I topped in right before you guys finished up. It's interesting. The if you go up a few, the Star Wars, to quote Gary, the Star Wars books are funny. We're seeing the spike of nostalgia-driven interest during the time of waning content.
Yeah. And I think to a degree that's true. Although Star Wars fans are a lot like, Star Wars fans are rabid about their stuff. Obviously, I mean, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think Star Wars fans really care. They're always going to want this stuff. If it's $100, if it's 100 cents, I don't think they'll care. They're going to want it. So right now, I think he's right. I think there's definitely, because we're in between phases for Marvel and DC hasn't done a real bang up job with their movies. Although the Joker I thought was great. There isn't a whole lot else to really look at. But Ben, you said it perfectly before. This is an enormous mine of potential with so much low hanging fruit, so much stuff that hasn't been tapped into yet. And if you get in now, you could find yourself making thousands of dollars if you're a speculator investor, or if it's just books you've wanted. I mean, now's the time to buy them.
I think to a degree, it's absolutely, excuse me, nostalgia-driven accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think a part of it's like when the Bronze Age exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, that was only like 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. When people couldn't afford pre-code anymore.
What up, P-dubs?
What up?
Yep.
Yeah, that and when people, it was more of a like, I guess a better example is Copper Age. Copper Age exploded because people our age finally started throwing money at it to recollect it. So Gary's right to a point. It's absolutely nostalgia-driven. Yeah, but I think we're going to see sustainability in the long term of the Star Wars comic market because the people in the market themselves, we have the comic book people, we have the Star Wars people, but then we're going to have the people that cross into both because Star Wars, like you said earlier, isn't going anywhere. And I mean, Jesus Christ, Disney in charge?
And that's the thing. Disney having it makes it different. Like,
Disney's
not going to let that sit. Like, they're not going to let IP just not make money for themselves.
They'll never stop. Yeah, they'll never stop.
Exactly. It's not like, it's just letting Dark Horse go. You guys do what you want to do. I'll sit over here. Like, no, they're going to make use of the product that they have.
And I think the other big thing about the comics, especially the Dark Horse era stuff, is that you got to remember when that stuff was coming out, most of us didn't have the internet resources to know that a lot of that stuff even existed. We're talking about this 1 of 1,000 Ahsoka Tano variant or those Son of Dathomir variants. I didn't know those things existed. Yeah, how did I know about those? I had no idea. So now, of course, we have the resources to know about this stuff. And you know as well as I do. I don't know, somebody posted something in the chat today. It was that Secret Warriors book, that variant. And I'm like, oh my God, I never saw that before. I need to have that.
The 70s variant?
The 70s variant.
Fucking copies of the second print. I never put all of my copies of something online. For whatever reason, I put all 5 up, 2 years ago. I was like, fuck this book. Yesterday when I was packing, I was like, oh, this will be on something tonight. And then without fail,
there it was.
Stein's Hot 10. So for what it's worth, I don't see the Hot 10 early. I don't know what's on it till it goes live.
None of us do, by the way, for everybody.
No, right. Nobody other than Stein and James when he needs to fix an image.
I've even tried to wrestle it off of him early, and I've still never been able to get him to bite.
Yeah, because we have that whole Patreon scene.
Yeah. That's fine. I appreciate that. I'm just as excited to see it as everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
man, I can't say enough about Star Wars. I mean, for those who don't know, for the fucking 4 people that are here, I have a CBD company, hemp oil CBD. We don't use oil though; we're isolate. And I've been just we repurposed to do stuff for the state of Massachusetts, and we're doing hand sanitizer bottling, and by we I mean everyone else, because all I've done for the past 2 days is Star Wars research spec, and I spent the entire day writing 2 Star Wars articles, and all I want is more.
I know, me too. The same way. I'm the same way. I'm trying to think of what am I going to write next week that's Star Wars related, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll do Maul. Maybe Maul. I don't know. But I mean, has that been overdone? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
JJ Maxwell makes a great point.
Or maybe I just do Sexy Ladies of Star Wars Part 2. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, with the Skywalker saga over and everything sent off the Legends Land, everything is technically new, even to fans. That's true. Although, I mean, I think they're gonna re-canonize some of that old stuff. I think Thrawn is a great example. When he popped up in Rebels, essentially his backstory became canon again, even though at one point they said it wasn't. So, I mean, maybe some of it is, some of it isn't.
Well, I think that's the beauty of calling it Legends, that they can cherry pick what they like, let creators take what they can use and, you know, repurpose what they can't and just fit it into their new canon.
Yeah.
Heir of the Empire is a tough one to split up, though, because it's fucking Thrawn and Mara Jade.
It's
and
true.
They're like, yeah, Mara Jade's alternate timeline. Thrawn's in now.
Yeah, he can't pick and choose like that.
It's weird. So I did speaking of I did the Star Wars timeline today, so I could finally keep up when you're fucking talking.
Yeah.
Going through it, I'm like, oh, it's like the eras are 4,000 years, 1,000 years,
it's
20
crazy.
years, 14 years, 5 years, 1,000 years ago. There's so much in such a short, condensed area, and I can't fathom. It's Disney, man. It's Disney. I can't fathom this not going off the rails. There's so much. You just make a Darth show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think now that you've got Filoni and Favreau on the reins of The Mandalorian, using a Filoni-created character in season 2 and bringing Boba back now, it shouldn't be a spoiler alert to anyone that's been reading the news. But I mean, think about what that show is going to be. Think about what that is for fans. Yeah, that's a little bit of fan service, I get, and you got to watch how much of that you do. But at the same time, my God, how excited are you to see live action Ahsoka Tano and Boba Fett in the Mandalorian show next season? I mean, I can't even. It's it was like when I realized you could own this shit. Wait, what? Are you serious? Wait, I must have read that wrong.
That's 2016. I found out that archive.org exists and it houses every dead show ever. And the same week,
mind blown.
I got my medical wheat card.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're like, is this heaven? This is heaven, right?
It was. That's why I took a year off CBSI. I was like, medical weed and Grateful Dead to archive. I'm out.
I'm going to be in the bunker every night. That's all I'm going to do.
I was, man. I came back at least.
Yeah, it's like me when I moved to Nashville, already a bourbon lover. Then I moved to Nashville. I'm like, oh, God. Speaking of which, cheers, gentlemen.
Get on that kidney list, liver list.
Yeah, the liver donor list. Yeah, exactly.
If you guys could pick one, let's go around the circle. I'm going to start with Paul because Mike, it's going to be an opus, but from Mike when we get to him.
I might not be able to answer, but what's the question?
Star Wars. I was reading Star Wars books right now. Is there a Star Wars book you like in particular? I mean, I know there's everything's hot, but is there one book, Paul?
I don't know. I grew up on Star Trek, so Star Wars was never a big thing to me. So I'm excited to see everyone else excited.
Which is a common thing, I'd like to say. There's definitely that Star Trek, Star Wars thing. So
yeah, I mean, I don't hate Star Wars. It just never was my thing. So I don't know. I think the characters are just cool. What are they gonna? I'm excited for what they're gonna do next because the Skywalker saga is over, and now I feel like Disney is done paying child support, and they can do whatever they want now. And so it's excited to see what they're going to do next.
Yeah. Plus, Abrams brings us together. We share Abrams now.
Right.
Peter,
that's true.
What about you,
That's
brother?
true.
Is there a favorite Star Wars book you have right now?
I still like Heir to the Empire. When we did the picks for the back nine, I just still think, even though it might have hit a little bit, I still think that's a good book going forward. They may not be able to use Mara Jade, but Thrawn is absolutely coming back. There's no way they don't use Thrawn. He's absolutely coming back.
Dr. Mike, here we go. Besides, let me preface this. Besides the 1 in 1,000 Clone Wars 1 variant, is there a book that might be more under the radar that that you want to disclose at least?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think again, referencing that same back nine article, I chose the Oh my God! Why do I never remember the title of it? It's the number 1 and the number 6. The Mandalore, the Indomitable, and Mandalore.
It's Golden Age of the
Golden
Sith. Tales of the Jedi, Golden Age
Yeah.
1 and 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so the 1 and the 6, I think those are huge because I think those could potentially be the link up between Mandalorian and a KOTOR show. And if that ends up happening, those are the books. I mean, those they have to be.
For those who don't know, is a span of about 1,000 years, if I'm not mistaken. I only know
may even be more than that, actually, possibly.
It's literally 1,004. And
then I think
oh yeah, shoot.
my other thing, I think Ben, you'll agree with this too, and this is based on my experience at Star Wars Celebrations and seeing the incredible interest that girls have in Star Wars now because of all the girl characters. Do not sleep on a single female Star Wars character. That's Sabine Wren, that's Ahsoka Tano, that's Dr. Afra. You name it. Those are the 3 on the top of the list, sort of, because they're
Star Wars 4. Sano, Staros, whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah, exactly. All those kinds of characters that, I mean, you see hundreds of little girls dressed up as Ahsoka Tano in a room. You're like, okay, this is real. And these girls aren't going to all stop liking Star Wars tomorrow. They're going to remember their love for Ahsoka and for Sabine and some really well-written characters that if we see them in live action and they become the real deal. Right now you can still get regular Kanan 1s for like $10. The blank, you can still buy the blanks for cover price. So, I mean, that's Sabine's first appearance. Go buy that stuff now. I mean, if you believe in it, like a lot of people do, like I do, man, now is the time. Don't wait till that's a $50 book because it's going to be.
Yeah. And go watch, if you haven't watched Rebels, go back and watch Rebels. Like it starts off slow, but that was a great show.
Yeah. You can
see why
the first 4 or 5 episodes are a little rough.
Yeah.
But then after that,
it builds.
What your picks, Ben?
Yeah, I was going to say I'll give you my pick. I will say I'm interested to see what Gary is looking at because he always brings a different perspective, especially knowing we didn't talk about them. It's even more intriguing. I got something for this week though. I got something a little deeper, off track a little. I went with I wrote 2 articles today. One was the timeline. The other one I did was Who Survived, and this is because you and I talked a few nights ago, Mike. Who survived Order 66?
Yeah.
First of all, fuck you very much for sending me down a rabbit hole on a Saturday.
Yeah.
That said, I got some books, man. I don't know. I am in love right now with the 1 in 10 Rogue. Is it Rogue One? I'm going to fuck her name up, even though it's on my list. There's a 1 in 10 for Rogue One. Or no, Dark Temple. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Dark
it's
Temple.
That first appearance of one of the people on the Inquisitorius list. And for those who aren't familiar, apparently we discover who survives besides Yoda, Obi-Wan, Kanan, and Ahsoka. We find out because in Darth Vader 19, I guess, there's a list. We get the Inquisitorius, which is a bunch of fucking bounty hunter, Sith-like motherfuckers. Mike knows better than I do.
Yeah, I don't know all their names either.
Dude, it's bad ass. Darth Vader 6, Star Wars, Darth Vader 19 is where you get the list. And what the best name on the list is the CERE, maybe. What the fuck's her name?
I'm trying to
but she's in that Dark Temple book or fucking Force Temple, and there's a 1 in 10 for it, and it does not exist. There's like 3 copies on eBay. The only book I like more than it right now is that Dr. Afra 3 variant. It's a 1 in 25.
Yeah.
That book literally doesn't exist. There's none on eBay. There's none sold on eBay. Like, there's none on the usual fucking hunt sites. Walker might have 37. I don't know.
You know he does.
I like the Afra number one per store. For those that want to get in at a price that's not unreasonable at the moment, I think that's a good book too. It's rare-ish, but it's I think it's a good one too that should be out there and shouldn't be too crazy expensive. But I think that one's going to see a boost as well. And the later printings of Vader 3, the purple and the red and the whatever those colors are. I don't know what the colors are. I think red is the second one. Purple's like the fourth or fifth. There's so many printings.
Yeah, there's so many prints of that book.
And it's not the good era of second printings. For those not familiar, the good era is 2017, 2018. Maul 2 second print, Vader 2, 3, 4 second print, Star Wars 4 second print. That's where you're going to catch your money, right? Like somebody said it earlier, Cordell, Son of Staros. That's the Star Wars 4 book. Some cool shit in there. The second print is the book to chase, unless the 1 in 25. If there's a 1 in 20, if there's an incentive and it has a low enough print run, I guess it's a play. But those second print books don't exist from that era, and you're going to see that Cad Bane or Maul 2 go nuts.
And all of those dynamic forces as well from back in the Dark Horse days, and any of those convention exclusives that were all like one of 500s and one of 1000s. If any of those characters hit hard, because then they're going to turn into the Ahsoka book or the Son of Dathomir book. They're going to be $300, $400, $500 books. That Del Mundo that Gary, is it Gary that mentioned it? Yeah, from Star Wars 1. That thing's crazy. That thing's been crazy though. That's not a new. That's a huge book. I've never even seen one.
Yeah, I do want to look for all these second prints because, again, I have a shop near me. Once shit reopens and I can go back, I need to recon and get back a list of, because I know, especially Star Wars books, because this place, they've got a shit ton of Star Wars back issues that I usually get cheap as it is anyway. Like, I try to keep up, but if you those dollar bins, or you hit up fill a bag for $25 and you just like, well, screw it, I'm just going to load up on these random Star Wars titles I didn't want to pay full price for.
Yeah, if you make a list, besides what's available on the website, of course, if you just type in Star Wars, all the articles pop up. It's great. If you make a specified list, Peter, let me know, because that's my plan too, is to go to my LCS.
Yeah, once I can go back out there.
We mentioned that on Flipside too. Is if my LCS made a Facebook post of we're opening this day at this time, we're only going to allow a few people in. But if I was smarter than I am, I have a good relationship. Maybe I should email them or reach out on Facebook and say, hey, do you care if I come in like the night before? Because I just want to look through all your back issue bins. I'm just, rather than be the fourth guy they're waiting for to leave the store so they can let the next person in like a jerk. Maybe get in the night before, reach out to your store and just say, hey, because how much time has passed, how much spec has already come to light while all the stores are closed.
That's true.
Yes, so pretty much all of the Star Wars spec had come to light since the stores have been closed. So it's all just sitting there waiting for everybody.
Well, it brings up an interesting point, because most of these stores are absolutely mining their back issues now with lots of free time.
That's true.
With the only outlet to make cash by selling it online. So again, I'm in an interesting situation where all my LCSs have already been doing it. So like, I know that whatever I go back looking for when I get back into these shops, it's going to be there because they've already pulled the stuff that everybody knows is chase.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I'm going to go back and get the $1 a piece, Coder 25, Legacy 20, fucking whatever. I can't even remember at this point. That's what I do, Paul and Peter. Peter, Paul, and Mary. I would.
My wife's name's Mary.
Well, get her on the show.
Bring her on, and we'll get the whole crew going.
I would take that first appearance list. I would go to Coder in Legacy, and anything on there that you can get for $1, I'd buy, and then anything else. Star Wars 7. Mike and I have been 7, 17, 19.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah, don't expect to go and find your 42 from Marvel. I mean, you're not going to find First Boba sitting in a bin someplace. I mean, that book's been hot for 20 years.
You'll be lucky to find the 42 from Dark Horse, the fucking Doku.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Good point. I forgot about that one. The Ventress issue has gotten hot too. That Mace Windu one.
That's the 19. Oh no,
yeah.
that's
No, that's the one shot.
I keep calling
It's a
Ayla
book that I
Sakura
didn't pick up.
Asajj Ventress. Watch that goddamn Yoda book too. That Yoda book, I'm telling you guys right now, there's a connection in it.
The Star Wars tale?
Yeah, no.
9? I think it's 9.
No. You know the Jedi Mace Windu? There's a Jedi Yoda. It's
the Jedi Yoda book.
There's actually 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
telling you right now, that book has an appearance of somebody I am 99% is going to be revealed to be the Cal, whatever the hell the last name is, that survived the Protocol 66.
Order 66?
Thank you. It's like Clone Protocol 66, but it's like shortened to Order 66. Yeah. Welcome to the new
Ayla
world.
Sakura. What's the 4th one? It's Ayla, Yoda, Mace, and who's the 4th one?
I got it right here.
I don't know, man.
I can see like her face, like in that.
Ayla Sakura.
Yeah, it's
Ayla Sakura.
It's Ayla, Yoda, Mace, and Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon. Oh yeah, it's Dooku.
Dooku, yeah.
Oh, that's
really?
Right.
Yeah, and that's why
because he was a Jedi.
It's so bad. You're like,
because he was a Jedi. Yeah.
But that said, there is a character credited in that issue, that Yoda issue, as Cal. There's no last name given, but it's the right time. It's the fucking Clone War massacre era timeline, and Marvel put Cal and gave him a last name and put him on that fucking Inquisitorious list. And I'm telling you, I smoke too much weed.
I like that cover too.
But if that book goes nuts, you heard it on the Tales from the Flipside channel first.
Cordell says there's a Shock T one as well.
Oh, cool.
Is there a Shock T one?
That's way cooler than fucking Dooku.
Yeah, Shock T would be way better. Yeah.
So anyway,
Shock T, interesting. Same race as Ahsoka Tano. So
who else is digging Star Wars?
I'm assuming everybody right now that wants to make money, because there's all kinds of ways, from the $1 bins to the $500 bins. There's a way to make money on Star Wars right now.
There definitely are books moving now, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I mean, it's good if you're selling, but it's bad if you're like me, still trying to fill out runs and.
I mean, I'm missing a ton of books. Half the stuff Ben mentioned, I don't own. I mean, and look at this room I'm sitting in. If I don't own it, most Star Wars fans don't own it.
But the one good thing you can say about Star Wars is that that's the kind of thing you can hit up. Like this past summer, I hit like at the flea market. Like that's the kind of thing. There's a lot of people will find in storage lockers that like Star Wars collectors might have collected.
Yeah,
that no one gave a shit about, and no one wants to go through and dig through those titles and titles of Dark Horse to figure out which one should I try to. Like it's just thrown out there. Like there's Star Wars stuff if you want it. Like. And so
JJ Maxwell says Eth Koth survived Order 66 as well.
For what it's worth, that was 100% not on my list, so I'll update the article and credit you, my friend. Thank you.
JJ, where do we find out about that? I did not know that he survived. What do you know? What publication tells us he survived? If you do, please tell us.
Yeah. I was going to say I went down the rabbit hole, but I might have missed a couple.
Well, it's easy to miss a couple. There's so much out there. Like
it makes sense because Aegon Kolar is the first one from that race on the council, and then Eth Koth takes over in his place. And actually, it's because the actor changed between episodes 1 and episode 2. For anyone that cares why that happened, same thing with Stasa Lee and Adi Gallia. Yeah. So I guess the second one survives. I don't know. I'd love to know where we find that out. That's cool. I did not know that either. That's cool news.
The only way I could confirm stuff was the Vader list, which made shit super easy, and then
okay. Apparently Screen Rant has a list. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Yep, and then
there's one tomorrow, and I hope I'm right.
Okay, so he's saying that the Darth Vader 19 that you mentioned actually has Eth Koth on the list, apparently.
Well, to be fair, that said, then maybe it is in the article and I just don't remember. But if it's not, I will 100. Yeah, like at a point, I'm not going to lie. Like I kind of just, but yeah. If not, I'm 100% going to credit you, JJ. I appreciate the information.
Obviously, we're all hot on this stuff because I believe in it. I mean, I really think that now, like, I forget who maybe it was Gary that said it before. Now that the Skywalker saga is left behind, and I think Nico said it, now that they're done paying child support on the Skywalker stuff, they can focus on the stories they really want to tell and do more things like Mandalorian or Rogue One or some of these things that we've really liked. And obviously they're going to explore the Rogue One side of things with the Cassian Andor show. There's a lot of potential material there. We really could see some of these books pop huge because some of them are really low print, especially the late stage Dark Horse stuff. That's why Dathomir is worth so much, because the much lower print runs back and right before Marvel took over. Any of the books that mine from those, especially if there's variants, weird con variants. I mean, I found a Hughes con variant of the Rebel Heist issue, the Han Solo one from Phoenix Comic-Con or whatever it was. I think the last one of those sold for $1,000.
Really?
That's insane, just because it's rare. Yeah, and it's a Hughes and it's Han and it's I don't know. It sold for $999, but granted,
hold on,
$9.8. But
is that the dude that went off because he got married?
What dude?
Eth Koth. Sorry, I saw JJ Maxwell's comment. There's one dude that I included in the middle, but not on the actual thing because he went off. He got married, and he left the Jedi Order, went and got married, so he technically survived the Order. But then Vader fucking murdered his ass later. So that dude I didn't leave on because speculating on him that he's going to come back, if it's the same dude.
I mean, Ahsoka left the Order. Ahsoka left the Order and came back.
You can't really go off of time. You don't know when they're going to.
He left the Order and got killed.
Yeah, but he still could appear depending on what they do. They do Obi-Wan. They do Obi-Wan when he's on Tatooine. Who knows? There's a stretch of time that's you can fill it in with a lot of different things.
Yes, but not if you're focusing on the group of survivors. You're definitely not going to go with a dude. Yes, JJ. All right, I do know what we're talking about. I just am bad with names.
And Barra Sophie was actually in Rebels, so that makes sense. She's being brought in as a prisoner of the Empire at the time.
Yeah, I'm still hoping Boltar Swan, Knights of the Old Republic. That's still my hope. I want a distance from the Skywalker timeline and just go back. Give me something. I don't know. Give me something different. Give me something not new, but new.
I have most of
Boltar Swan. That's a little it's Boltar Swan, but whatever. That makes sense too. I'm trying to read through the list and comment on them. Some of these I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who Proset Dibbs is or Masana Tide. Those names I don't know. Matter of fact, besides Eth Koth on there, I don't know that Uvel. I know that name, but the other names I've never even seen. What are those all from?
No, Karakin follows the new Vader guy that was in 1 issue, 2 issues.
Oh, that's right.
Oppo Rancis is
he's the snake guy.
I got 90% of this dropping tomorrow on the site, so I'm gonna stop dictating my article.
Let's pull on back. But yeah, I mean, I think this proves exactly what you're saying, Ben. Though I guess what we're all saying is that the passion for this stuff is there. People know this stuff. I mean, we got people in the chat talking about
what it's worth. Thank you to everyone in the chat. This is what makes these shows fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you got people sitting there writing this stuff down in pads. I'm writing them down. I've never even heard of
it. I go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the greatest part about all this. I mean, I want to know all that, and I want to know not only for my own geeky side, but also what should I go be looking for in dollar bins? I mean, should I care?
Absolutely.
And that's what I appreciate about CBSI, like you guys. We're not trying to act like we know it all and I knew it. Man, if I don't know something, I will claim that I don't know something. And then somebody's like, "No, man, you had that on your lists because Phil did something." I was like, "I've never heard of that character, Phil. Great spec." He's like, "It's on your list." I'm like, "Okay." I will be the first to but that's what I mean. I don't remember. I can't retain that. I learn it from Phil picking. I learn it from you picking. I learn it from Peter picking.
It's collaborative.
You know what I mean? I might be on my
list. So Ken's telling us
shit.
Kent's telling us that those are the names of the Inquisitor. So I mean, I know him as Seventh Sister, and those kinds of names.
Yes. I was going to say there's some I don't have on there, but the ones that I don't have on there are because they're not Jedi that survived the. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, the article gets lots of comments and corrections, because that's another thing, man. When I make a mistake, call me out on it, man. Tell me how to fix it. Like, I'll credit you when I fix it.
Yeah.
So Cordell, to get to those sketches, those are awesome. Those are definitely rare. The thing I'm talking about doesn't even list on MCS or on Grand Con. It's not even on those lists. So I don't even know what the print run is on the thing I'm talking about. It's a completely white background on this. It says Phoenix Comic Con in the bottom corner, and it's the Hughes Han, and there only one copy is sold in the last knowable past for $999. It was a 9.8, and I've never seen another copy. I just bought one at a shop for $35 the other day, sight unseen, because I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen it, and the last one sold for $1,000. I will buy that for $35 all day long. Yeah. So excuse me while I pay for that.
Sorry, Mike. We're still rolling in the comments with want them to find a way to make Kyle Katarn canon. Like, fucking testify.
Yeah. And I agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
And Kent,
exactly. I got a bail, guys. I'm sorry. But good stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping in.
No problem.
Someone comes in.
McClay is here to replace me. Sweet. See you guys.
Later, Paul.
See you, P-Dubs.
What's up, guys?
What's good, brother?
Just coming in to hang out. How was the conversation? The conversation good?
It's hot, man. Everyone's happy. It's like 7 of us, but we're having fun.
Yeah, good.
It's great.
Good. Star Wars.
We got 20.
Yeah, we got
20
people
plus
watching.
people in chat.
We're nerding out about Star Wars, man.
I know. I see all the stuff in the background, and it's hard not to nerd out on Star Wars when you see that shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did it in this room for a reason tonight. I wanted people to know that.
Well, honestly, are we showing off Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, we did. I went around the room before.
I saw it. That's what I mean.
I got some random shit right here.
Yeah, let's show off some Star Wars stuff if it's close.
This is where it crosses cross into the gaming fucking stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh man, some of those signed cards were really rare.
So I get rid of all the expensive shit because it's what I do for a living. But I had to keep. This is a sketch I couldn't not keep. It's fucking ridiculous. It's not gonna come out real. Let me get it out. That's just pencil, man. That's awesome. Pencil on a fucking card the size of a baseball card. Like,
who drew that?
I don't know, man. The best artist in the history of time.
That's legit. Attack of the Clones was what it was, but that's a pretty good representation of when Yoda whipped that shit out.
It's the detail too, man. Like
that's
how small of a card it is.
I got a box of shitty Marvel sketches I can show you that you'd be like, well, here. Compare that to a Neil Adams sketch card. Like, come on, man.
It's not that bad, though. That's a little more black. That's all. It needs a little more black.
This dude sat down and earned his respect and was like, someone's going to fucking bug out over that.
Yeah.
And the good captain was like, here's your fucking Groot. Have a day.
I've got one. I just got to go. Let me go find it real quick here.
That's the best I can nerd out compared to Mike's fucking used helmet and shit. I'm like,
he can have a screen used helmet. I'll show you. This is my thing. I put it on Instagram. This is what I got in the mail today. I got my little baby Yoda.
Oh, nice! You got one.
It's tiny as shit. I mean, this is the regular size. Look at how small this thing is.
How much are those selling for?
I don't know. I paid $10 at Target. So on the shelf, it's $10.
Okay.
So I don't know what it's selling for online. It's just mine.
I think I've showed this off before, but it's still Star Wars.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. I've seen.
Oh man.
Awesome.
What?
Yeah.
Dude.
I love it.
Oh man, I want that so bad.
I've talked about this story. So big Star Wars fan, obviously, but I went to Star Wars Celebration 3 and had no idea he was going to be there. And I'm walking around the very first day, and I just out of the corner of my eye, I see him at a table. He's just sitting at a table, nothing around that says it's Adam Hughes, and he's just drawing. And I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking Adam Hughes. And you know, at the time there was these little documentaries that were coming out about people trying to, you know, camp a week before the con opens just to be the first person to get to Adam Hughes to get a sketch from him. So I thought I would never get one. And I walked up to him. I'm like, hey man, you know, this might sound crazy, but do you have any sketch, you know, openings? He's like, yeah, what do you want? And I'm like, anything. Yeah. What do you want to draw me? And he's like, how about Padme? And I'm like, yeah, man, can you make her look like she did when she was fucking super hot in episode 2? He's like, deal. And he didn't look at a single he didn't look at a single fucking piece of art.
No reference?
No reference, man. It was fucking awesome. I waited an extra day for it, but I couldn't be happier because shortly after this, I want to say like maybe a year after this is when all the bullshit went down with that dude that, you know, had his daughter go up and said she had cancer and ended up not having cancer. And he quit doing sketches at that time. Now he only does those little face sketches. So
closed eye profiles.
Yep. So I'm pretty lucky about that, but fuck that guy that lied to him. So
seriously.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how it started, man. I heard that like everyone got fed up and like they stopped doing sketch it. Like the artists got tired of people being like, oh, I'm a fan, and then seeing it on eBay the next morning. I didn't hear about like kid claiming can't. Like that's all fucked up, man.
Yeah, I've heard that story too.
Yeah.
Do you have a tray of blue milk for us? What is this?
No, this is not a tray of blue milk. This is better than a tray of blue milk. This is 5 canisters of cut material on 35 millimeter film from A New Hope. That no one except for me.
Get the fuck out of here.
No one except for me, George Lucas, the editing team, and the prior owner have ever seen.
Get out of here.
Holy shit.
Now, one of them's an audio reel. The other ones are film reels. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of them are film reels. One's an audio reel. The audio reel is multiple takes of the guy saying, "Look, sir, droids." But the others are cut scenes or alternate versions of scenes that have never been on a DVD or a Blu-ray or anything.
Why don't you put that shit on a fucking DVD, man?
Because I don't want anyone to fucking see him but me.
Yeah, that's great.
Ooh, let me tell you.
Oh, fuck that. I love it like that. I love not knowing what's on there.
This ties in exactly to my community, man. I am a deadhead. And for anyone that knows, you get it, man. You get it. For those who don't, there are shows. Every single show the Dead ever played exists on fucking camera. Now you put that down, Mr. fucking. You're gonna listen to the Dead. So there are a few shows out there that are the grails of. I mean, it's the internet age, man. The fucking Dead don't charge. Why are people being? There's like 3 shows out there that people have the original soundboard for. And right now, I'm sitting here like a fucking plebeian listening to some 7th generation audio tape because the person with the soundboard wants to be the only person with the soundboard to like ever hear that quality. That's the shit you do, man. You got people like me that are listening to this shit. Like it's like listening to music through muddied water, and it's the greatest shit ever, but it's terrible because it's muddied. And there's some oh man, I almost went with that. There's some unnice dude out there. We'll drop the C word later on.
Yeah.
There's some guy out there being a doucher, holding on to the soundboard and being like, "This is the best song ever, and only I know it." Like, make tapes, man. Give it to the public, Mike. Have a viewing.
Yep.
Mike Morello's cover tunes with secret fucking Star Wars squirrels.
I have done a viewing of this.
Wait, is this episode 10 that hasn't aired yet?
No, this is Empire Strikes Back daily reel, which is black and white daily footage. Here, I'll show you. There she is.
Holy shit.
Getting distorted weirdly on the camera, but this is this is actually the real. If you watch the behind the scenes from the Blu-rays with George Lucas looking at the dailies on a little screen, and he's turned talking to the camera, and on the screen he's going through to edit daily footage. That reel is this reel. And it actually has his handwritten Sharpie notes all over it, things that he squiggled out, things that are cut out. And this I do have on DVD, and I have done showings of it because it's long enough. This is, believe it or not, this is only about 11 minutes of footage, this whole reel. And there's cut material in there. It is completely silent. It is black and white. Things they hadn't done as far as special effects yet are hand drawn in on the film frames. It's pretty incredible stuff. Those two things I just showed are actually my prized possessions.
We should put that on Flipside and do like a little Whose Line Is It Anyway, where we do the voices.
Awesome.
Now I don't know that I have to. Now I run into permission problems.
Oh
with
yeah,
some of this stuff, so I'm not really sure what I can show. I'm allowed to own them, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to show them.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. We should.
So that's the no bullshit, no joke answer to the question is I'm not actually sure that I can show them. The showings that I've done of the Empire thing have been in my own home. They're not. I didn't charge anybody anything. They're just like in my living room. I have a projector, and I was able to show.
That's the deadhead spirit, man. You there's no charging.
Yeah. No.
For everyone to enjoy it.
For all.
Yeah, I just mean I haven't done it illegally. Now, from the dailies, here's the cool thing about this daily reel. Before I got it, Rinsler, who did the behind-the-scenes books for Empire and Star Wars and Return of the Jedi, there's also a digital version of those books. And in the digital version of those books, there are a couple of small clips that you can see from this daily reel. So it was used for that first before it was sold, and when it was available to purchase, I bought it. But so some of it has never been seen other than by a couple of my family members and friends, and the rest of it, or parts of it, you can see in that digital version of the Rinsler behind the scenes Empire Strikes Back digital copy, like the Kindle version, whatever you call that. So
that's very fucking cool.
I keep staring at the only thing I could top it with. My kids, I got Star Wars pictures my kids drew right on my shit. That's how deep we are into Star Wars here. Like that's all I got left. I'm like,
yeah, JJ, that's a funny
dark saber.
That's a funny joke, JJ. But yeah, this is obviously long before this material was edited in 1979. So long before Lucas tinkered with the movies. This is not special edition stuff. This is a 1979 reel.
Did we talk about that before? About how if you can find the original cuts on VHS, they go for a shit ton of money.
Yeah, they do. Or those laser discs. If you have a laser disc player,
laser discs. Yeah, laser discs. Absolutely.
You can get them on DVD. They were released on DVD one time. The Walmart versions of the re-releases came with an extra disc, and that bonus disc has the original on them. It's the only way to get them on regular DVDs.
That's
and they
crazy.
go for a bit, a pretty decent chunk. They're like $50 DVDs.
I miss them.
Yeah, but you can get them on DVD that way, and those are official. They were released at Walmart only.
And when
I think they came with a comic. I think they came with a comic too. I think they came with like a mini graphic novel of the Marvel adaptation in there as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I
chasing that. Keep an eye if you're chasing VHSs and DVDs. Muppet Family Christmas. It sounds funny. It's like $40 on VHS. It's like $100 and something DVD.
Wow.
I paid $80 in June, not this June, but I paid $80 in June because I waited till the furthest off season possible, and that was still the cheapest possible way to get it. So
Really?
and it's out there. So
There's a lot of DVDs and VHSs that are really tough to find.
True.
yeah, the
True.
command real money.
Yes, real money, $500-$600.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
wild.
Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah.
Happy Life Day,
Oh, dude,
everybody.
yeah.
I have a Star Wars holiday special, like a bootleg, I think.
And they're all bootlegs.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no official version.
I had the VHS version,
Yeah.
complete with commercials. Commercials.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. That's the real deal right there.
That's a real
Maybe get some. You get any Kenner Star Wars commercials in there? Because that's better than the special.
Dude, the Chips Ahoy, the guy, Mike, you're my age. The
Yep.
Chips Ahoy
Me too.
commercial when they were at camp and had to vault over the river to get to the other side for the Chewy
Yes.
Chips Ahoy. That
Yes,
commercial's on there.
I remember that one. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
because it was
terrible.
always on the Peanuts. It's that whatever my mom recorded the Snoopy special that year. That was the year she recorded. It was that, GoBots. Fuck.
Robots. Yeah.
Oh, man, what a good
Talking about
memory.
Kenner.
Oh,
Yeah.
What
shit.
you got there?
It's original land speeder.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Is it sealed?
It was sealed, but I opened it because a guy wanted to buy it, and I opened it to show him the windscreen of the land speeder to make sure it wasn't cloudy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And the guy ended up fucking on eBay returning it to me.
Oh,
What a dude.
Oh,
Yeah, so you guys can see it's in there.
oh
you
sweet.
sure you didn't return a cloudy fucking windshield?
Yeah, right. He probably
swapped it
did.
out.
Now that I think about it.
I got a toy grail this week. It should be here Monday, which is the Power of the Force Tatooine skiff in the box.
Oh wow! Nice.
Yeah, that's a rare one. Never thought I'd be able to grab one for the price I got it for. So that's on the way. Finally, I'm a
Very
huge
good.
Jabba's guy. Sorry.
I'm going through toy bins of unopened figures, man. I think I've showed a couple of these on Flipside that I just brought down, but this is the type of shit I'm pulling out of toy bins,
Micro machines.
left and right. You know what I mean? Like, here's some more Star Wars. I think. Let's see here. We've got. I like these to have all the Jedi. Like, I remember I used to collect all the different Jedi. There's
Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
and then Anakin from the Saga collection.
That's the chase one, right? That's the silver foil one.
Yeah, the silver foil, the Saga collection hunt. And there's like, I mean,
Ultimate
I have,
Galactic Hunt.
yeah, the Galactic Hunt. I have
Used to
so
call
many
UGG.
figures.
The UGG figures, Ultimate Galactic Hunt.
Yes, yeah. But I love these Micro Machine figures,
Micro Machines are
especially the Jawa and the Stormtrooper, because a lot of people will buy these for
Troop
decent
builders.
prices. Yeah, for troop builders. So, but yeah, I probably have, oh God, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 tubs of figures up that are getting ready to be for sale. But I love going through shit like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Actually, here, I guess if
That's
anyone's
like
still watching,
mid-90s? Early mid-90s?
Yeah.
So that's post Force, whatever it was, the Jedi, the green.
Yes.
Yes.
I have all the
Other-
green ones. I have all the orange
Power of
ones.
the Force?
Power of the Force, the second time around.
So when I've been doing this for 20 years, but I went through a phase where I had a flea market guy who had, he did buyouts and stuff. I bought 1,200 figures from him over a year, and it was all Power of the Force to Saga, and it was, oh man, it just a lot
Fun.
of fucking figures. Yeah, it's,
Sometimes those Power of the Force figures are hard to sell.
a lot of them were incredibly difficult to move.
Yeah. But the stuff after Power of the Force, like the Saga line, the Clone Wars line, all the stuff that Mike is showing in the background. Is that a
Right.
Kung Fu poster?
what's that?
What's that poster?
Which
To
one?
your the other way. Oh, I thought it was Kung Fu. It was Peanuts.
No, it's all peanuts.
I thought for a second there, I thought it was the Kung Fu poster from the Nintendo game.
This is probably the grail of the closet, which is the blue snaggletooth bagged with its box.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a biggie.
Yeah,
Did you
he's
see
got all
what,
the super
cool
old
comic
school
guy
shit.
said?
What's that? What do you say? AFA 8548 back with Revenge of the Jedi sticker. Yeah, the
Is that crazy?
it's the Akbar offer is would say Revenge of the Jedi. And so any of those ones that have the sticker on the back for the Akbar offer should all go check Toy Informer for the Catch a Wave Star Wars, and there they are. But yeah, those should all say Revenge of the Jedi. So Revenge of the Jedi stuff is a really cool sort of mini niche. People collect anything that still said Revenge on it. The poster's worth a ton. There's a lot of other marketing. There's little like tear off cards and some posters. There's the sticker offers for the Admiral Akbar figures. There's a lot of things that say Revenge. There's a T-shirt. There's crew shirts that say Revenge. So yeah, a lot of people collect just Revenge of the Jedi stuff, and that's a big market. The poster is the thing you really want. The teaser poster, Vader, the red Vader sort of in flames kind of the thing. That's the biggie. But yeah,
Well, I assume an AFA 8540 anything is a good figure.
yeah, 85, 90. Yeah, those are.
He seemed like another collector, so I wanted to point it out to you.
Yeah, AFA is the essentially the seed. Yeah, nice.
I know I made this joke the other night, but I'm going to do it again. It's okay that mine's not movie quality.
AFA, for those that don't know, is essentially the CGC of action figures, and they'll grade figures. They'll grade based on condition of the card, based on condition of the bubble, and if it's a loose figure, based on the apparent circulation of the figure, how much damage it has, or paint rub, or any of those kinds of things. But they'll pretty much grade anything that was a toy. But what's great about that is they'll tell you if it's a fake or if it's real. So,
I love
a lot
Imperial droids.
of weapons. Yeah, I love, and I consider that a figure. That's every bit a figure. That came in the Hoth play set, in the Probot set, and I think that's a figure. I think all of these are. I mean,
It's so crazy to see the hot carbonite from the
Slave One, yeah,
Slave One, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's different than the one that came with the Power of the Force figure. They're actually very different carbon blocks.
Very different. This one has more edges to it. The other one was like square.
Yeah, because the figure fit into the back of it on the Power of the Force version, whereas this is just the slab, which I think is hollow in the back, if I remember correctly. But it's hollow because it's vac formed. It's not hollow because a figure fits in it. And there's, of course, the Max Rebo band. The instruments are really rare.
I had the Max Rebo band. I did not have Slave One because my cousin had it, and my parents were, well, your cousin has it. Play with his. Like, I want my own.
So we got through all of the waves. There's, I think, 15 or 16 articles. It's every wave from A New Hope through Power of the Force, and then all the pack-ins. So when I say pack-ins, I mean things that are largely considered figures by people. They don't count in that 92 count of figures, but they are really, in my opinion, every bit an action figure. There's the Droid Factory droids that the instructions tell you to build. So there's 4 of those, R2D2 being one of them, but R2D2 with a third leg. It's the only way to get R2D2 with a third leg. But those other droids, and there it is. And those other droids are the ones that the instructions tell you to build, but you can build all kinds of things with that Droid Factory. But they're named. They have named, they actually have names.
I want to get that R2D2. That's cool.
Yeah, that's the third leg. I mean, that play set is essentially worthless if the third leg is missing, because that's what everybody wants it for. There's a ton of parts in that thing too. So make sure you're checking sites to tell you what all the parts are supposed to be, so you don't get duped. And
some parts are worth more than many figures.
Yes, they are.
And it goes that way with GI Joe too. Mics, headgear, hoses, certain things are worth way more than even that you could even imagine.
I just sold a loose Firefly today with a card back, but without his phone. The phone is worth more than the whole figure with the card back.
Yes, sir.
So just the phone. Little
I
green
love the
phone.
Death Star Gunner.
Yeah. So these Power of the Force. So there's the Han and Carbonite. That's
I
the
remember
carbon
this figure. I had this. I remember going to KB Toy Store or Lionel Play World in the mall. Which one was in the mall? They were both in the mall, right?
KB was in my mall.
Definitely
Yeah,
was in the mall.
KB was in the mall.
Oh,
I
where'd
went
Ben go? Oh, there.
he's there. He's just hanging in the background. He's right there.
Yeah, buddy.
I was stuck backstage. My camera froze, so I popped out, and then when it went back, it was like stuck in limbo. Sorry, guys.
Welcome back.
I remember getting on the bus with my uncle. My uncle took me to the mall. He bought me 2 figures. He bought me, and this is when these figures first came out, so they were all displayed on the Power of the Force with the coins, and they said, "Oh, get your coins," and they had 2 packs too.
Yeah.
They had double packs. So I bought this figure, and I bought a cyborg figure from the original the Justice League Superpowers line.
Nice.
Those 2 figures, if I still had them today, are some of the most well-selling figures, especially carded, out of any figures.
Absolutely.
And I got them both on the same day.
Okay, so what Cool Comic Guy is mentioning over here in the chat, Letty, he's referring to Lily Letty, which are they're the foreign versions, the Mexican versions. Actually, there's a few different versions of figures, but in the case of Lily Letty, they often have different molds. So when you're talking about Vader, the actual Vader it's not the same mold. It's not the US mold. It's actually a different figure. It's very slight. It's hard to tell, but they're actually not the same. So yeah, Lily Letty, it would be Palatoy in England. You've got Takara in Japan. The list goes on. The ones that aren't bootlegs, there's a bunch of different companies, 5 or 6 different companies, and people chase those like crazy. I'm just a US collector unless it's a figure like Yak Face that only existed in the European Union and in Canada. You couldn't get it anywhere else. There's also the Vlix figure, which only was released on Brazilian Glasslight cards. So there's a lot of foreign stuff too. If you're a foreign person, this not only does it get very difficult, but it also gets very expensive.
Wow,
So,
look at that.
As if collecting Star Wars carded vintage stuff wasn't already expensive, it gets crazier and crazier. So that's a cool example with the Lily Letty symbol on the front. Palatoy did the same thing. They really just replaced where the Kenner was and put their logo over the top of the area where that would be. So, but yeah, if you're interested in more info on that, check out Toy Informer, all those catch waves that Brian put up earlier. And there's tons of other great websites. There's Rebel Scum. If you really want to get into some of that stuff really deeply, they give you good pictures too. I don't pretend like we're the only site that talks about that stuff.
No, I was going back to Rebel Scum back early days when I was searching for all these figures back in the Walmarts back in the day, looking for the variations.
Those guys are great too. I mean, I've met some of those guys.
I'd love to sit down with you guys one of these days and go over some of the crazy variations on some of the post Power of the Force figures, the second Power of the Force figures from '96. For example, this is a really famous one, the Boba Fett with the different circle. It's a half circle on his wrist.
Yep.
There's also a Boba Fett from the Shadow of the Force 2-pack that doesn't have the
emblem.
The emblem on them. Yep. And then there's a lot of figures from that very first Power of the Force run that the lightsabers are extra long. And then you can find them with extra long lightsaber, the holder that they fit in. And
long
a
tray short saber. Those are the rare ones. Long tray short saber, those are the rare ones.
And they just continue to go on. There's variants every single wave that a lot of them they messed up on, and that's what most of them were. They were mess ups that they would fix. And we should sit down and go through one of those one day as a show. That would be fun. Because I have all the figures upstairs. I can go, as I'm going through them, I'll put them aside and we can show the different variations.
TIE pilot with and without. Yeah.
Dude, I was so hardcore into that stuff because eBay, that was when eBay was first at going. And to be able just to go online and find those figures, it was heaven for me. So
yeah. The TIE pilot with and without the warning sticker.
Yep.
The R5D4 with and without a latch.
Yep.
The list goes on forever. There's the Leia's belt. Some of them have like 2 loops, some have 3 loops or notches.
Remember
or whatever.
how hard Leia was to find in that first run? Same with everybody.
Yeah.
There's a rumor that they didn't print as many Leias and Lando Calrissians because of one being a woman and the other being a black man, that they didn't want to print as many. Well, that wasn't really true. It just they happened to not have as many in the first couple waves that they sent out. So everybody went crazy looking for those figures. I remember they were selling for like $40 a piece at the time they came out.
The rarest card variant that I know of is the Episode 1 Yoda that says Episode 1 on it. They took it off instantly because Yoda was a character across all the movies, so they instantly took the Episode 1 logo off the card. But with it on there, I've only ever seen one, and I own it.
If any of you guys ever get a chance and you've already gone through Toy Informer like all of us have religiously, this is a really good book, and I'm sure it's in like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th editions. But this is the Star Wars Super Collector's Wish book by Jeffrey T. Carlton. Do you guys remember this?
I do.
This was such a big score when I was a kid. When I was in
the Tomart guide.
Yeah, because you could find everything Star Wars. I mean, this has got all the bootlegs and everything. It's got the comics. So right now I'm looking at comic books. It shows all the comics. It's got all the figures, all the different variations, all that stuff. So this is excellent shitter reading material.
It's like a Gerber guide for Star Wars stuff.
It is. Yeah. And there's 2 others too. There's the Steve Sansweet guide for the vintage and up through 98 figures. That's a great one. Be aware that it's a really crappily made publication, but the information inside is incredible.
Yeah, it falls apart.
Yeah, and then there's the vintage cardback variation book, which is a hardback. It was published. I can't remember the author now. It's killing me. And they only ever released one printing of it, and the book is worth more than most carded vintage action figures because everyone wants the damn book. It's really rare, but it's if you can get your hands on one, it is an incredible resource of every different cardback variation that every vintage figure ever had, which is crazy.
There's so many. We've morphed this conversation into what should be probably a Toy Informer fucking show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I'm gonna steer it right back into comics with this because I just found this sitting next to me.
But we still should do some sort of Toy Informer show because this is I'm loving.
We should. I agree.
We should do more Golden Age first.
Yeah, well,
that's tomorrow.
So Savage, Oppress. I called it Savage. Mike corrected me.
FCBD.
I go with him.
Yeah, I bought one. Actually.
FCBD for comics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Clone War Magazine 1.
Oh, yeah.
Is 1 the first appearance?
Yeah, I think it is.
All right, so he's not on the cover of 1, but right. I did secure this, which is it ties with Star Wars Magazine 160 something. That has this cover as well, but Jesus, look at this.
That's great.
Wow.
It's a great cover.
If he takes off, it's over, right? Like that's And then yes, the FCBD I have on my list. That's something I gladly. I admitted I fucked up. I had the first appearance of him as Death Sentence.
Yeah.
And on a side note, again, Mike and I both said this earlier. We're glad to get
if we're wrong,
give credit. Right.
Yeah.
If you're gonna correct someone, don't be a dick.
Put your name to it.
We put a lot of work into this stuff.
Right. So. And it's all what it is. Like, call me out, tell me I'm wrong, but I'll call this dude right out too. The comment on Savage Oppress was, obviously it's this first appearance and not that. Like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's cool. What about the other 532 fucking first appearances? Welcome, bitch.
I remember there was a guy, I had a Cover Tunes commenter who, I don't know, he tried to correct me on something. And I'm like, man, I've written 106 of these things. I'm bound to get a typo in there once in a while. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, that coming from the guy who confused Adam Hughes with John Hughes one day. I'm like, I didn't confuse anybody. I was probably writing it at 3:45 in the morning. Probably had just watched
And there's a
Ferris
huge
Bueller's Day
difference
Off.
between-
And,
yeah, and a huge difference between misspeaking and actually like
yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and in my comment back was, well, I just spoke to Adam Hughes in person 5 days ago, so I do know the difference. I
And the
promise.
John Hughes interview is tomorrow. We're shooting a new movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean,
got a
so
question.
just be a little bit gentle when we don't mind being corrected at all. Matter of fact, I relish the opportunity to be taught something all
I
the time.
love learning. Just don't be.
Yeah.
You got a question, Brian? Go ahead, brother. Sorry.
And I apologize because it's back into the figures, but you guys ever worried? Are you guys ever worried about 3D printers and old
Yes,
figures?
for weapons especially.
That's exactly what I'm looking at right now. Is weapons going? I know I could 3D print these things.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
and all the float
brought up
tests.
the Firefly phone.
Yeah, right. All the float tests and mold line tests in the world can be beaten by someone who's careful. I mean, now, honestly, I know a seller who buys vintage carded figures and opens them so that he can guarantee that the weapons are real.
Oh my lord!
Yep. Swear to God. Real thing. I want to kill him. I want to kill him.
He opens them so he knows the weapons are real.
He buys really bad condition but still sealed bubbles of vintage figures because his collector market is loose guys. And those loose guys want to make sure their weapons are real. And the only way he can guarantee they're real is if he opens them.
And loose collectors are
Respect.
Oh, dude, I almost became a loose collector because I started thinking on that same wavelength. Like one of them is, I want it's a toy. I want to be able to play it with it like a toy. Like I want to see it as a toy. And I'm like, hey, that's great, but I don't know if I could open all my shit.
Yeah, that's like you saying that guys buying, Hulk 181s to cut out the MVSs because people want to collect the fucking Marvel value stamps out of them.
That's what it is.
They want that
That's what it is.
stamp.
Oh, and speaking of that, I saw an eBay auction the other day for a pile
I'll be right back, guys.
of vintage proof of purchases from cardbacks. It made me vomit. There was like 60 or 70 proofs of purchase from boxes and cardbacks of vintage Star Wars figures, just the pops. And I'm like, first of all, you cut them all out. Second of all, you never sent those in for anything?
That's the problem, man. Like,
What? I wanted to literally find out where this guy lived and be like, no, I'm not going to buy him. I'm going to beat the shit out of you for not ever getting a free Emperor, a Nine Num, an Akbar, whatever
I
else.
remember the day that little white box showed up in the fucking mail with the Emperor, and I remember the day my Cheerios Obi-Wan spirit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm old.
From 95. Yep.
From what?
The Spirit Obi-Wan is a 95 figure. The Emperor is an 85 figure or an 83 figure.
Was there a spirit figure, a clear figure in the 80s?
No.
I got the Emperor and something else.
Yeah, the one you're talking about, the real.
I was in high school and
You're 100% right. That Spirit Obi-Wan figure in a white box was a serial premium mail away, but it was a 90s figure. Whereas the Emperor was the vintage. Yes, also a white box, but that's a vintage 1983 figure.
That's what I remember is getting the comics.
Comics!
Found,
I went for that free comic book day book, but I couldn't find it.
4 or 5 boxes as I was going through the comics that I'm selling. I pulled out of the storage unit. 4 or 5 boxes of Star Wars comics not gone through yet. So you guys want to go through them live?
Yes.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm digging.
Yes.
I did this. While he's getting set up real quick, a few weeks ago, I did a virtual dig.
Ooh,
I had
how'd
an
that go?
SDS owner sit there and put the fucking phone on a stand.
What'd you get? What'd you see? Anything great come out?
Oh,
Brian
if
or
it's Ben's
me?
collection,
Oh,
you know
Ben,
it's
you.
great come out. Yeah.
You know me. I got the Green Hornets.
Oh, yeah,
and
we-
shit.
Oh, that. Oh,
Yeah, we saw your pull.
I vintage. I vintage.
That's right.
I golden age picked. Go ahead.
I didn't
Bryce.
realize that was okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
A paper towel holder camera setup like I've got, though.
Yeah, I need to get that set up. That's a great setup. I need to copy that because it's a pain in the ass. But I'm just gonna grab a stack and start going through them, see what we got.
Oh no!
A lot of this stuff.
Did you? We all went silent. We're like, you can't do that to us right
A
now.
lot of
That's
this
not
stuff is probably like old school spec related. Okay, so this is the Jedi.
Oh yeah, Ula Keldroma.
Yeah.
Remember this one? Stark
Yes.
Hyperspace War. There was a little bit of rumor that
we're bringing you your full screen in it.
yeah, that they were going to talk about some religion in the new series, and that it's first ever talked about. I think it was the religion based on the tree or something,
Yes.
the Force tree or something.
Yep. From Clone Wars.
And
Or
I think that
Rebels.
this is the first appearance of that. Plus, this is on your list, Ben. It's Stark Hyperspace War, Star Wars number 36.
No, not that one. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
No, you're good, brother.
Yeah, there we go. We'll just stick with you.
I got like I bought like 5 of these just because I thought it was decent spec and they were a quarter a piece. And then I got the entire
quarter.
I got the
Yeah,
entire
all day.
Stark Hyperspace run.
All day for a quarter. God.
Yeah.
I'll buy anything for a quarter.
Yeah. I don't know if this is anything.
It's cool.
Adventure.
Yeah, remember this right here, the holofoil one?
Yeah, that's first.
Oh,
that's
that's good.
first Efont Man and Kiadi Mundi, I think, isn't it?
And this
Yes.
is another universe.com exclusive.
Yeah, 1 through 4 all have, or 1 through 6, because all I wanted was a gold foil 7, but they stopped at 6.
So I haven't read this, but check this out. That's a yellow lightsaber right there.
Yeah.
That's
Stark Hyperspace 404, the last one.
I'll
It's
tell you,
like Shah Kun. It's not Plo Koon. It's the other one, Shah Kun.
I love that run of covers. I can't remember who the artist is, but that little run of about in the middle there of like 10 covers by that artist are all unbelievable.
That 39's a first appearance, Brian.
Is it?
It's Shah Kun, I think. Whatever the other Kun, not Plo Koon.
Yeah, that's not bad. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I know some of these are probably. This has got to be. Wasn't this spec related at one point?
That
I've
number
never
2?
seen that.
Jedi. I know.
No.
one.
Number
number
4 or
four.
5?
It's number 4, right?
Can't remember. Well, number 1 is, but I don't know about the number 4.
Yeah, number 1 I know was.
Yeah.
This is
Ooh,
Enemy
That's
of
just a
the
great
Empire.
cover. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that Boba Fett one is in that Mandalorian cover tunes I did. That Boba Fett one you showed, I put on there. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah,
That whole run is beautiful.
Yeah,
That one,
That's a
I
gorgeous
love it.
one.
It's so good.
I know what this is because I wrote it on the front. First Anakin Solo.
Yes, but it's actually the second.
Yeah.
Because 5 is the first. Oh, no. That is Anakin. 5's Jason and Jana Solo. Sorry,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
right.
I gotcha.
Right? Yeah.
Here's
I have a
5.
stack of newsstands of the fucking 6.
Here's number 5.
Yes,
Yep.
that's Jason and Jana.
And then
Yep.
look at this
See,
one.
This is the shit I can talk. I can't do
I hate you.
timeline and people, but you show me comics, I'll tell you who's in it. Man.
Yeah,
That's that weird, right?
dope Boba Fett cover.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Can't go wrong with Boba Fett.
All right, let me grab another stack here. This is the shit that I love doing, man.
You know what's fun about the newsstands too? They don't say so. Direct edition says direct, and the newsstand version said, "Jesus, look at that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful.
That's gorgeous." The newsstands for Star Wars books either say Star Wars Adventures or Star Wars Universe.
Good mall.
Yes, that's a
good.
newsstand. I can see
Yeah,
it
that's
from here.
great.
There's another one of that one.
Nice.
There's
Yep.
this.
I love that book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Darth Maul. Anything
That's-
Darth Maul for me, man.
Yeah.
Dark Times. We'll probably see a Dark Times run or two.
Save that book.
Really?
I
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
There's like 9 first appearances. It's in my article for next week. Like, yeah, that's the time
Thank you.
between like the end of the Jedi stuff, but pre Am I right, Mike?
Yes, correct.
It's like a 10-year, 12-year window.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I don't remember the
Oh,
exact window, but
badass.
it's something like that.
Post Order 66, pre New Hope, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a really,
Yeah,
really
okay, so that's-
weird. Sorry.
Is that
go
a
ahead.
second print?
This is.
Sorry.
It says
There's
there's
only one print.
Oh, okay. That's the handbook one. There is a first appearance in
Okay.
that. It's minor, but there is one. I forget the character. It's a Jedi, I think, or Sith.
God, you guys are making me feel excited. I thought I was going to be showing you guys books that don't have shit in it.
Oh, that will. That's a good book.
Yeah, I love.
Yeah,
Knights of the
that-
Old Republic.
What book was
Oh,
it?
regardless if they ever do a KOTOR thing, it's number 0, and number 1.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
Jesus
got
Christ.
two
Brian,
heroes.
the one,
The number 1
the
thing.
one's going to be a $100 fucking book. Yeah. Yeah. Is that newsstand?
I don't know. It says direct sales on it.
Okay.
All right, then it's direct.
Oh, then no. Yeah, that's going to be a big book, though.
It is.
That's going to be a.
I think I have the whole run of Knights of the Old
Oh,
Republic.
that's a good
Oh,
then
the
money.
three. The three. That's first Jerry.
Yes.
That book. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's my favorite pick right now for comics. It's impossible
this?
to find one on eBay.
What is
It
this?
has first Jeriel. She's
Okay.
incredibly relevant to the story. She starts there and goes through the entire run. I'm reading it right now. No one spoil it.
I'm telling you, that's what Taika Waititi's got to be doing. He's got to be doing Knights of the Old Republic. Please.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to get to that 9. I hope you get that 9.
Oh, how about 8?
8's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, 8's
Eight is
good.
a fucking monster. 7's a monster too.
I don't think I have
fellas.
9.
7, 7, 8, and 9, all 3. Yep.
I don't think I have 9, but we'll see. Here's Dark Empire, another one.
Nice.
Another Anakin. Oh wait, hold on. We went through these. I'm an idiot.
Another Anakin, same sticker.
Yeah. All right, here we go. As I said, I was like, I think I might have 9. Who knows?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
9. Yeah.
But hold on, that's not the
Nice.
best part.
Another one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not another one, but I got another 10.
That's where the run stops. At that point, you jump forward to 25.
Okay, here's 11 through 11 through 21. But here we go. This is a badass cover.
Yes,
Oh,
it
that's-
is. Oh, I almost used that last week and I didn't. It made the cut list. Damn it.
So
yeah, I love that cover. That's a great cover.
that Republic, that's what the Dark Horse series turns into. You know how you showed it and Mike said, oh, it's first Defont Mon? From like 51, it
46.
renames itself. What number, Mike?
46.
Awesome. From 46 on.
Yep.
There's an incredible fucking 71, I think, is the cover.
Might have it. Hold on. This just jumped in there real quick.
Nice.
Yeah, love
You're
that
right.
cover.
Your
Yeah,
man Stan, what's good, brother?
Hey,
Alright.
buddy.
All right, here we go.
The
More-
72. Is it the 70? You talking about the Ayla Sakura cover?
No, it's Anakin, I think.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you guys are fans of Legacy, right?
Yeah, Legacy's
I
good.
Yeah.
love-
You got the 0 and a
don't
half?
show me that. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Those are huge.
Yeah, the hues. All the hues.
I've
That's
got
all
probably doubles
hues.
of
Yeah.
the whole set.
Do you have the second or third prints?
Good question.
They all have
Those
white.
are the whites.
They would have white backgrounds.
Okay.
Yeah, white backgrounds.
4. I got doubles of every.
4 is good. 1's good. 1's a monster. 1 Coder and Legacy you need to hold,
Okay.
Yeah.
in my opinion. If you're selling them, I'll buy
I agree.
them. I'll hold them.
No, definitely. I actually want to go. I'm going to go. Your guys' Star Wars spec has really lit a fire under my ass to get excited about searching for comics again. So I'm going to go out looking. These are
Good.
all Star Wars Legacy run. There's the whole run there. That's a crazy cover.
There's
Yeah,
some really
That's a
good
great
Covers
cover.
in that Legacy run.
Darth first appearances in the Legacy run.
Yeah, I got the whole run here.
Oh, boy.
The whole run. Here's
That Legacy
Rebellion.
one you need to keep.
Is there
Rebellion.
anything in Rebellion?
No, not that I know of. Sorry.
I don't think there's anything in Rebellion.
Yeah,
No,
the
I don't
Legacy
think so
run, you
either.
also at the end of it too. Like the end of it, there's some good covers, and like the last couple issues are good pickups.
So this must have been a big big spec book at the time, but I got a ton of them. Thinking that
I love the cover. Who cares? It's a beautiful Dave Dorman cover.
Yeah, I was totally thinking they were going to go that route, and
it's somebody important.
It's
Ula
the first.
Keldroma.
Yeah, but it's also the Dark Horse 7 book. What's her name?
Yes.
It's her first appearance in canon.
Sunrider.
Sunrider.
Yeah.
Sunrider. No
Sunrider. That's
Sunrider.
it. Yep.
Here's some free comic book day stuff. It looks like
the 2011 one's the one you want. The Clone Wars FCBD 2011 Avatar.
Yeah,
this one is badass.
That's Anaya Solo or whatever her name is.
Yeah, but that's the dollar version.
Okay.
Oh, the 1-for-1.
I always loved the Crimson Empire stuff. I have all the figures and I was really big into that stuff.
It's the what, Ben? The WonderCon that everyone wants for that one?
For which?
For that Anaya Solo, it's the WonderCon, right?
Oh yeah, there's some weird, like, beautiful variant that I was like, that's shit. I'm not paying $50, and now it's $199.
Yeah, I think it's WonderCon. There's another variant too. It's
We got another Darth Maul set. It looks like.
Yeah, the photo covers are good because people like to get those signed.
That's a dope.
Yeah, it's a great cover too.
The issue before is like super intense Grievous. I like that cover though. I've never seen that, Brian.
And then I think this might be some of the Marvel stuff. This is the Loot Crate Marvel one.
Loot Crate.
Ooh.
This is issue 2, first annual, and then we get into. I think I got like all the action figure variants up until, God, I don't know. I probably
you have the Han and the Boba in there. There you go. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a good one. Boom, $100 book.
That too is good.
Yeah, those are both the good ones.
That Boba Fett, the JTC
black and white.
That's that. Yes, that's the first Sana Staros. Save that book. That is going to be the chase from that.
Yep.
Cycle. Besides,
that'll be a big one.
Second print.
That'll be a big one. Yeah, the second print. I like the color one a little better because it's weird. They did it like half color, half black and white, which is strange.
It's like gray tone, right, Mike?
Yeah.
So many of those goddamn things.
And then I just got, you at some point they know you're going to get hooked and you're just going to buy them no matter what. And I think
you get a run like that.
I had the whole thing, including all the store variants, and I sold them all in one shot. I got a lot of money for them though.
That's what I'm hoping, because I have all the store variants too. Like I have the early
Wonder
bird
World
pack.
and those.
Yeah. They should be in it. But like I said, I have
man, they use some legit painter's tape on the back to hold those goddamn things closed, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, not on there. I saw one of the other ones. It was like
that's a great box of stuff, man. You did well.
Yeah, so this is like 1 of 4, and I love going through this stuff as long as you're finding good stuff, and it sounds like some of the stuff is good that I'm probably going to hold some of the first appearances for sure.
Yeah, it's good stuff. That's a good box.
The Legacy ones, the Coder one, I would hold. Those are going to be monsters. The Dark Times I'd hold because it's cheap. So who cares about getting $1 when you can? It could be a $10, $15 book.
Yeah,
and hold that Boba action figure variant.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Good call, Mike.
I'm trying to find some of the better ones. I remember this was a pot book for
I wish I did.
Shattered Empire stuff.
I think it's the super mega variant for Shattered that's worth money.
Here you go.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
The WonderCon. I just ordered
the Wonder World.
Those things.
Yeah.
I paid a
Rogue
shit
One
ton
one
too.
Well, they weren't cheap off the site. I think they were $20 or $25 off the site, and back then that was a lot for a store variant.
I didn't pay a shit ton. That I paid cost.
Lando system.
But that's that first appearance of that.
Lando City.
The Lando system? Lando's not a system; is a man.
But yeah, that was
Good
fun.
friend of mine. Oh, scoundrel, you'd like him.
All kinds of Star Wars goodies there. I got more.
That's great.
One of these next days, I'll have to bring some down in our next conversations.
Have you guys
thanks
seen
for sharing those.
Star Wars Tales? Yeah, Brian, that was awesome.
Yeah,
3X Legacy 1, like, man, that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
That said, Star Wars Tales 7, have you guys seen that lately? I mean, that happened yesterday.
Prices lately, but I've not seen it anywhere.
Which one is that one? Is that? Oh, that's the Boba Fett.
That's the Boba Fett daughter.
Oh,
yeah.
Like 140. Like let's take right 140.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
and then last week it went for 20, and yesterday it went on Amazon for 25. When I got on Amazon and was like, what the fuck? Like, we were talking about
with Stein on the Hot 10 list last night. We were talking about it because Mel wanted to say that's just the hologram, but so is Michael. Feel me here. So is 23. Like, it's just a hologram. So is fucking Revan in 23, right? Well, it's what, a panel?
It's one little tiny panel.
Which one's a panel? 23 is a panel.
Yeah. But like, I mean,
it's
look
a
at
small
that
panel too. If I remember right, it's a small panel. It's not even a big panel.
Let's be clear for everyone. Coder, Revan, Coder 9 might be his first full appearance.
I think that's.
It is. This is not a. Sorry, that wasn't a hypothetical. That is his first full appearance. In Star Wars Tales is his first appearance. Guys, he's in Coder 6, I think 7, and he's definitely an 8. So let's shine a little. I mean, 8's already stupid. 8's money like it should be. Spotlighting the bejesus. I'm going to ride that horse into the fucking Star Wars.
I got the original.
The rest of my books.
I would suggest, again, you're going to be late to the party on this one, but you never know what you'll find. Make sure to go to your on your phone, go to the comicbookinvest.com webpage and favorite that list and make sure it's on your homepage.
Yeah, take screenshots of it. Do whatever you got to do or bookmark it or whatever. But, man, have it when you get to those shops. Because it's a lot of books.
It's a lot of books.
Numbers are tough. You won't remember everything.
Yeah. When you're dealing with so many different series of Star Wars, when you're looking at different numbers like covers and seeing the images, like looking at the article and seeing the image of the cover, it's easier to connect the dots and know what you're looking at if you can see a picture of the cover rather than just looking at a number.
I said this on Flipside on Monday. You know, look. You know, I pretend to know most of this stuff. I can't go without that list. I still need the damn thing. I have to have it. I can't remember all. That's too much information.
Too much information. The names are so tough to remember off the top of your head. So many consonants back to back. It's just it's difficult.
Apostrophes.
Yeah, apostrophes. Weird pronunciations. So like, wait a second.
All it does for me is put. I'm really good at remembering images because I don't know. I can do a long box in like 30 seconds and pull, because I know exactly what I'm looking for. It's why I'm a
learner. I can see the cover. I see the image more than I can see.
Once I've committed to it, I mean, I was telling Mike I was sorting my Star Wars box the other day. I now know what I have. I bought a lot more last night because I realized I was low on certain books. I know some people think it's wild, but man, at $2-3 a book, I want to have 20 or 30 copies. Like, and not of everything, but on these, Coder 34, that first Darth Scion. At $3, I'm all in, man. Keep them coming. Legacy 48, there's 4 Darth appearances in there.
I also like that first Darth Nihilus appearance.
Oh yeah,
that book's bonkers though. That's the kind of shit that that's 24, right? That's in with
24.
Yeah, 24
has a mall.
Stacked.
Well, it's got the mall.
I
got this guy.
Yeah,
the regular's not as
with
good.
the mall photo cover.
But it's
newsstand. They all have this photo cover newsstands. They're crazy.
Oh no, it's not stacked. It's just Nihilus and Visas Mar, but counterpoint that makes it stab.
But it's Nihilist.
That's like having that's like being like it only has Catwoman and Joker. Like
Nihilist is a visual. Like Nihilist is a visual that will sell.
it's insanity.
They have to use
and we've gone over this. The minis. The reason I know this shit is because of the minis. The minis gave me the window into what's popular with actual Star Wars fans because that's who's buying them. Nihilus, Revan, Mandalore the Ultimate, Hoth, Commander Hoth, General Hoth. See, this is where I'm like, I admit I don't fucking know Star Wars, but there's some Star Wars character with Hoth in the name.
It's exciting is what it is. We're back in the time for exciting spec.
I love it. It's like fucking.
I love that it's Star Wars.
I know,
love that it's Star Wars.
I was talking. Big shout out to the Absolute Geek podcast. I was talking to the guys from Absolute Geek last night, Friday night, and I was telling them I think that Star Wars spec right now it feels and reminds me about Avengers spec back when when there was just the G+. And Avengers was everything. Everybody was going for these cool. They were searching. You were excited to jump on the webpage. Man, if you're not checking comicbookinvest.com every day, I remember going into work and the first thing I would do, I wouldn't check my emails or anything. I would go look at comicbookinvest.com and I would just be excited to know, okay, what am I going to go hit the comic shop after today to look for?
Because it was a secret.
I did the same thing,
man. Yeah. Well, you were in the know. Going back into stores back then was definitely like, oh shit! Like
you don't even want to mention the website. That was the hardest part.
Oh,
yeah, because you don't want anyone else to know it. Yeah.
And you'd know that people knew by watching the dude pull like. I remember being at one of the stores I'm not allowed in anymore. And a guy next to me was pulling books, and I was like, yeah, good shit, I'll be okay still. And he pulled something, and I was like, yeah, how'd you know about that book? He's like, oh, this great website, CBSI. I'm like, huh, I'll have to check it out. Sounds cool.
Yeah, that's what I would do every time is, really, what do they talk about on that website?
And what are they not? So I know what to still find that you didn't.
Yeah.
The best ever. I went to a fucking store one day, and we're waiting in line for it to open. Not that it was gotta wait for it to open, but I was 2 minutes early or whatever. And the guy in front of me and I start talking, and he looks at me and goes, and he was like, "Oh, so you're a speculator too?" I'm like, I buy books to pay for my collection. I'd like to think I know what I'm doing. He goes, "Well, I'm a regular here. Don't fucking bother shopping. Like, I've pillaged it." And I was like, "Huh."
Oh.
Challenge accepted.
I love that.
On the way out, I was like, by the way, my name's Ben. I own comicbookinvest.com. Say hi next time you're reading me. He was like,
yeah, I don't give a
shit. I still see him. He works for another
LCS.
These guys dig the box.
We spoil this stuff for ourselves. We spoil this stuff for ourselves. We want to share this information with people. I'm not trying to hold any of it back. I mean, if I think a book is good and I believe in it, then I want people to know about it. I want everyone to get excited about it like me. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. I can't help it. I want to share that stuff.
Yeah, you want to share that excitement. You want to be
now we do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Now I'm all about, ever since I took over CBSI, not only do we have a much different vibe, we have a great group of guys. We are the most transparent website out there. It's almost to a fault. We have nothing to
I can't make any money anymore.
There's nothing to make.
I know.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to make. There's nothing, people
and
want
to plenty enough money.
And I want it on record 3 fucking years from now when everyone's fucking screaming pump and dump at me for selling Star Wars books. I'm telling you now, buy them. Legacy 1, Coder, Coder 3.
Great.
Yeah.
Everyone's screaming at me. Everyone's screaming at me for Spawn. I was fucking buying Spawn in the beginning of time with Walker.
Let's talk about that real quick because some of those Spawn 240 books are going nuclear.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Some of those.
It's all because of low print run too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this mind. Sorry, Brian.
It's crazy to watch and all this stuff happen, but that if it's because of rarity, then I have a little bit more respect for it. I have a little bit more respect if it's because of rarity.
I think
Here's
it's that part.
A lot of it is.
But it's also a growing fan base.
Yeah.
So not only do you have the reintroduction of people, again, I was born in 78. One of the first comics I bought with my own money was Spawn 1. And you know what I mean? Like all that fucking lovely reading, but like what a shit time to be into comics because the content was amazing and the scene was toxic. I paid $5 for it the day it came out. My parents paid $50 for the black bag Death of Superman to a comic store I was going to regularly, but the dude knew he could get the money. I was 12, 11 at the time. He knew my parents would pay. I paid $5 for every new Spawn issue, Valiant. So when I got back into comics, man, I was not, I had nothing. I'd take no prisoners. Fuck you people. I'll make my money. I'm going to make my books and, But now I think the Spawn thing, it went in cycles of this low print and then people swell and then they went away. I talked to lots of store owners that said 200 to 270. They would go in 2 to 3 month periods of being like, yep, ordered 10 for the shelf because we had all the Spawn people. Then they canceled.
Yep.
I ordered none for the shelf. I ordered 1 for the shelf. 249,
Yep.
219. The homage covers are different. I think that's just and I don't mean to ramble here, guys. I know I'm.
No, keep going.
No.
Oh, you're right.
I know I've been into comics. I obsess over everything, and I get in
You just gotta
2012.
think about it though. Like, think about a title like Spawn. Like, there's not many people who collect today that are like run completionists, that they're buying issues from 1 to whenever. Like the old school dudes who do it, like they're not buying Spawn because Spawn was a new character. They don't give a shit about that. So
And
they're
the
not
art
running,
books
and the
are
newer
great.
collectors aren't continuing after the heat dies off. So the print runs and everything dies because people lose interest. Like it's not the same group that I don't know. There's different generations. Like different generations collect differently. So there's runs where there's bits where there's more buyers than there are sellers. Like there's more people who want the book than there are copies to be had. And that's
Stan and Kent. Stan and Kent are talking about this, right? His Kickstarter, McFarlane's Kickstarter for his toy figure thing. It's 3.4 million and climbing. It's nuts. He is a marketing genius. There's no doubt. There is no doubt. I mean, it's just.
I think
he's continued to.
I think he
saw
saw
300 issues.
What people like Brian Polito and Ethan Van Sciver have been doing over these Kickstarter and GoFundMe campaigns, and been making good money off of it and making their fans happy because Brian Polito has been doing this shit for a long time with Coffin Comics and doing it well. And Ethan Van Sciver, didn't the news just come out recently that something with is big coming with Cyberfrog again, like that popped up again.
Yeah, but that's where you get into the controversy. Like McFarlane, man, nothing but respect. Like everything I've ever seen, dude seems wicked nice. Jesus, Mike, to tie it all back into fucking everything. Mike interviewed John Boy 2 weeks ago now, and 2
weeks ago.
Fucking boisterous. What a good dude. What a good one of the comic guys dudes, and he couldn't tell Mike enough nice things about Todd, and you can tell it wasn't.
It was genuine.
Thank you.
Yeah, because he said some not positive things about other people in that same interview.
Truthful.
I mean, nothing mean.
Truthful.
Yeah, but just truthful, just like, a clashing of ideas and stuff. But when he was talking about Todd, man, it was all great stuff. And if you watch that interview, John Boy was so great to talk to. And it was I don't know if you were on earlier, Ben, when I was saying it was that you coined the phrase "bro versus sir." You get some of these interviews where they're very professional. and they're very like, sir, yes, sir, and thank you, and you're welcome, and polite, and all that. But when I was talking to him, I swear to God, I'd known him for a decade or longer. I mean, it was awesome. He was great to talk to, and so you could tell that everything he was saying that was nice, especially about Todd, was so sincere and so genuine, and it was really cool. It's really cool to know that for a guy that's become a titan in modern comics, and
yeah, he still will live stream himself drawing. Like that's like I can't be the only one who watches him draw live. Like it's still like he still does this when he doesn't have to work. He don't do shit anymore. Like he doesn't have to.
It's great.
He does it because he loves this shit, and it comes through.
That's so cool. I like that a lot.
And
yeah, it does. It does in his work. It is. To have an indie go 300 plus issues, I don't care what.
He'll ink. Like, it's not even pencils. He doesn't have like, the ego to I have to pencil. He's inking other artists' work.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It is. I agree.
Speaking of inking, because I want to make a weird connection here, because I have this on my brain, and we're late enough and way fucking over the shark to not matter at this point. We're just fucking
We're 3 hours in almost.
So, yeah, exactly. Like at this point, like whatever. The theory of original art came up a few months ago with somebody I was talking to, and I had never thought of it, and it was a real interesting perspective / conundrum. So the original art market is wild. We all know, anyone who pays attention knows. 5-10 years ago, I mean, Jesus Christ, a tenth of the price, and those were record prices back then. You look at those Sotheby's catalogs I have. We'll do a show on that one night. I want to fucking puke.
I have a quick question, though.
Sorry,
I just want, before we go too deep in this, now, when we talk original art, are we talking about stuff like uninked, like pages, or are we talking about sketches and stuff like that?
So that's a great question. When I talk about art and when I say OA, I only ever mean
published
page.
Published.
Published, but like a page. Yes, it can't be like OA to me. It's not, it was the cover for an art book. Like OA is comic book to me. I understand the market's there. When I say OA, I mean pages from a Marvel Image,
Covers,
Charlton, splash page. Like, I don't care if it's a shitty page. I have lots of pages. They're OA. They're not great. They're OA. That said,
I would
some of it. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Be right back.
I was just going to say I would extend OA to anything that was meant to be part of the process of publishing that comic.
Advertising?
So like, maybe, but I'm thinking more like preliminary stuff. Things that were
that's where it gets weird, because then that stuff, like the preliminaries, the color tests, like they have to be called that to me. Because if you call a preliminary OA, preliminary against a page is
value-wise, it's
that's why it can't be the same. It's the same market in the sense that like comics are in the same market.
Yeah.
But like
so for anybody that paid it. Sorry, go.
No, I'm listening. For anybody
that was on 3 hours ago when I mentioned the Red Sonja preliminary book that I got. I mean, that the value of that preliminary book is probably somewhere in the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 range. If those were the published pages and the published cover, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars,
if not $100,000. That's why when
maybe
you say OA, it doesn't take anything away. Like your Vampirella painting, it's a beautiful, gorgeous painting, and there's history and provenance. But when I would never go, oh yeah, that's OA in the sense of OA that I mean it. But yeah, it is 100% technically original art. It's just not what I mean OA market. The OA
was never a public
market. And it's more that it's not going to be traded on Comic Link or Heritage or Comic Connect as a regular comic page. It's going to be treated separately, like the Charles Schultz unpublished Christmas card that came to Comic Link in 2016 that had a reserve on it. I've never seen a book with a reserve on it ever on Comic Link, and it didn't meet the reserve, and I tried my best to buy it, and nobody would answer me. So anyway, bitter. Comic art.
Ken, I would say those are commissions. Oh, sorry, just to respond to Ken, I would say that would be commission art. So, I mean, I think that we've got a lot of the sellers use the word pinup when it's a really beautiful piece that was clearly meant as a showpiece of some sort, like the Vampirella painting that Ben's mentioning or something like that. I would consider that to be a pinup, not to be confused with pinup art, which is like pinup girls, but a pinup, like a full page thing. And the stuff like Jim Lee is doing right now, I would consider that to be commission work. They're going for auction beyond top shelf
commission work, but it's still, I would put it in the same league as your Adams. Like, it's a commissioned, it's comic original art, but it was done for you or for someone. It was not meant for a comic. That's
a commission of that magnitude, though, could go for the price of a page potentially, because it's so gorgeous.
But not a page by Adams.
Right. I just mean that, like, you could find, I mean, I would expect that commission of yours, Brian, to be $1,000+, well, probably more, multiple $1,000 piece now, maybe $2-3 grand now, just because it's by, the Hughes.
That's a great example. Easily,
because it's so beautiful.
But
so,
then you
not to say that it's not valuable.
A Hughes page,
it just won't appeal to the same
12.
Yeah, that's
right.
crazy.
Yeah, it won't appeal to the same market.
Real quick,
you're right. Yeah, definitely.
Theory. Hold on, let me get the art theory out.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to hear, like.
Oh, sorry, Ben.
No, it's good. I want to finish it so people can be like, dude, stoned. There's so much art out there, right? So there's record prices for all this art, right? Kirby pages, but if you notice, it all gets bled, pun intended, into the market slowly and very fucking carefully and meticulously.
Yeah.
If we stepped back and realized how much art is out there, if half the Spider-Man ones came to market, we'd lose 20-25%, but the market is there. It is always going to be there, and there would be people coming out of the woodworks to absorb the Spider-Man ones to ensure that price never dipped past that 25%, and they would buy in at that 25%. But that goes into the whole side tangent of when the market does poor, stock market, comics get money put into them. Real estate goes down, comics get money put into them. That all said, if all that fucking OA, if a tenth of the OA came to market, we'd be buying Kirby pages for $5,000 instead of $100.
Yep.
And everything else would be a fucking $1.
There would be exceptions. There would be exceptions like you're right though. Even famous stuff would take a hit.
I mean, but McFarlane's a great example, right? So his fucking Venom pages sold for. I told you, my buddy, the dealer.
But they're one-of-ones, though. So that's the thing.
They are, but think about it. But I think the point of what Ben's saying is if they dumped all of it at once, like Spider-Man 11, like the 90s run Spider-Man, like issues from the interior of like a random Spider-Man book that he did wouldn't sell for much because by comparison, well, I can buy the Venom book here because it's all out at once. But when
if it all existed in the market, you would see a Titanic sinking. Think about how much art. So think about McFarlane, right? How many
Spidey art still it's not with them. It's in people's collections.
Right. I don't mean if he released it. I mean if it's the wizard behind the curtain.
I got you.
Right? Like all this shit exists. That value is not real.
Yeah, value
is real. If I take all my comics, not that I could flood the fucking market, but like I'm never going to experience something like if the art collectors start to panic and more pages come, you will not see I get a 10-20% discount. Pages would fucking plummet, and the only thing keeping them up is people hoarding hundreds and hundreds of them. Sorry,
look at what happens when variant covers like that. You know, there's that guy that found a stash of all the Venomized variants, and he was remember that, and he was there's a guy on eBay putting them out, And
You release them all.
Every time it would sell, another one would pop right back up for a little bit more. Every time it would sell, another. It was like he was just flooding the market with these covers that we thought were so
Even
rare.
with that, though, that's still like one at a time. He's still selling one until the next one. Imagine if he threw all the copies out at once. Now you're getting the highest paying guy and then down to the 50th highest paying guy all paying at once because no one's going to buy them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine if you did.
Here's
I
the-
would
here's the
almost
caveat to
guess
that,
it's like the prop market. If you took all the props in Star Wars and dumped them into the market at once,
It's just going to get,
you're fucking bargain shopping
There will
because
be
there's not
bargains.
enough
Yeah.
money to sustain it. If I take all the Golden Age keys, dump them into the market, 20-25% discount tops, people swarm in and take them out. That art comes to the market, those props come to the market. Sorry, Mike, go ahead. I'm rambling. Go ahead.
You're right. You're absolutely right. The only difference with Star Wars props and the reason why they're so much more expensive than everything else is because so many of them were destroyed. So luckily that can never happen. Star Wars props,
And that's a secure.
they were put in the dumpster.
Well, how much original art was destroyed or just not saved? I mean, hell,
Sure,
we got that
sure,
one
sure,
painting
sure.
that was
That's true, but we don't.
over. Like,
But I can go and show you 300 and something Kirby pages sold over a 1-year period in those catalogs.
yeah,
And if we discount, I'm not saying Kirby, but I mean, Kirby's a great example because those pages would go down. McFarlane's the ultimate example. Think about 300 and something Spawn issues. Holy fuck. I mean, fine. He did interiors for still a shit ton, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's I'm rambling.
Call it half of those issues.
Real quick, I want to just get to this. For all you guys
Yes, Dan.
that are listening right now, remember that there is a great article, a new article over at comicbookinvest.com for May 9th, 2020, written by the one and only Nico, whose show we have kind of jumped on and
he was here a couple hours ago.
It's the after party.
Sabotage.
After party. That's what he wanted. He said from now on he wants to make sure that he is the after party.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing more stuff like this. You're going to be seeing different people, hopefully, a couple different people each time. And it just gives you guys conversations like this. But I want to make sure that you guys go and check out his article. He's got an article he's writing every week now called Weekend Update with Nico, just like the show. It's calling comic book strategic investing, and he writes a little article about stuff that he's thinks you should look at, some things you shouldn't look at, just interesting stuff. So make sure you guys go check it out. And as a matter of fact, he advertises people he's going to be having coming up on the show, and there's the one and only Mike Morello. So he's got a head grader at CGC coming shortly. So a lot of really cool stuff coming up. Make sure you guys go check out his article over there too. So
Did Nico?
Yeah, and thank you all 30, 40, 50 of you who've been on all night with us. 3 hours is a long time. Thanks for being active in the chat. We really appreciate that. This community can't happen without all of you too. So
yes.
Did Nico use for Morello's pick there? Was that a 1993 Lisa Loeb
album cover?
He said, "Don't buy number one." He said, "Buy the second album," but I'm still gonna go and buy.
Don't buy that one. Yeah. Number two is my origin.
I saw that cover earlier.
Number one's the first appearance. Number two is the origin.
I said, "Holy shit, that's Morello!" When the hell did he get on a Lisa Loeb cover, man?
No, fuck that. I want a Topher True
When I
first.
had hair.
That first one too.
Yeah.
Just for anyone who thinks I don't have hair, I do have hair. It's just a little thin.
It's just well.
All right. So
Yeah,
you guys had anything else that we think that people should know about, or?
I'm going to reiterate, echo Mike, and we really appreciate it. Brian, we appreciate you hopping on.
Oh,
Guys, I appreciate you letting me hop on.
Yeah.
Saturday night, I get lost.
Absolutely.
Like Mike said, the fans, we do this for you guys too. So yeah, let us know that you're there. A lot of people that are watching it live. If you're watching it after the fact, make sure you comment and let us know you're watching it and that you're enjoying it and how we're doing and all that type of stuff. Give some constructive criticism if you can. We'll take it, but just make sure you like and subscribe so you can hear us the following day. So other than that, you guys want to end it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time.
Mike brought it in. Let Mike take it out, man.
I say we do it.
Thanks everybody for caring about. If there was at least 20 some of you on when I was talking about myself, I don't know why anyone wants to know about me, but I appreciate that. Please read Cover Tunes. Please read everybody's stuff. Read Ben's Hot List. Read Peter's. Read my Cover Tunes. Read Peter's Dollar Bin Digging. Tune into Tales from the Flip Side on Monday, and all of our other content that we got going. We got 3 Comic Monty. We've got Vintage Voyage. We've got all kinds of stuff. There's something every day. Hot 10 list. Ben Stein, Topher's articles, True Firsts. Get yourself some comic barricades, and keep talking to us. Keep telling us what you want, and we'll give it to you. Appreciate your time, guys. Thanks a lot.